It's the DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula, being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
Here we go, day number 3. That's the scene. Lake Eufaula, what an incredible, what a killer playing field as we restart the 2020 season, the Bassmaster Elite Series. 4 days of competition. We're past the halfway point right now, and we are getting ready to go. 40 anglers out there. That was the scene this morning, Lake Point Marina, Eufaula, Alabama, our host city. As 40 anglers get ready to go, trying to make it into the top 10 who will fish tomorrow for this second championship of the regular season. There are so many things we still don't know about what's going to happen. We do know this is a killer place to have a tournament. Who is going to be on top of the heap after today and after tomorrow? I couldn't even venture a guess. Mark Zona.
Well, we've made the statement pretty much this entire event that this tournament would be dominated by your leaders offshore. Scrap all of that.
Okay.
Scrap all of that. Predominantly what we will see the majority of the day will be the leaders fishing up shallow, all but a few of them at least.
All right, what's fragile? What's going to hold up? No idea. Absolutely. We're all in this together. We're going to let them fish today. We're going to enjoy it. It has been, I got to say, super enjoyable the first 2 days, action-packed.
We got to say this yesterday. The MVP of the tournament so far was Lake Eufaula, Alabama. Yeah. And it did not disappoint yesterday. Steady catches the entire day, and really, the one thing you've got to get past on this lake, you have to pass that 4-pound average mark.
Well, we've got a leaderboard that since the very start of day number 1 has been spinning like a crazy, out-of-control carousel. No offense to Bill Lowen or Matt Airy. I think we're going to have a different leader every day. It's entirely possible.
Exactly right. And really, just this morning alone, looking at our Hummingbird lay of the lake, this morning alone, the leaderboard has been a pinball machine so far. Lake Eufaula, about 85 miles long from dam all the way up the Chattahoochee River. You see the town of Lake Eufaula right there in the center of your screen. And here's the most amazing thing is we've seen so many guys fishing offshore from our takeoff down to the dam, which is about a 40-mile span. But today we're going to see a different face of Lake Eufaula with the guys that we have cameras in their boat.
All right. Mark Zona here, Tommy Sanders here in the Bassmaster Studios. We get ready to go with 6 hours of Bassmaster live coverage. We're going to have a morning session of 3 hours, 3 hours in the afternoon to take you all the way up to weigh-in time, where we'll narrow the field down to the 10 who will fish for the championship. I just don't know what to expect today, which is just the type of tournament we love. Tight competition, very little space in between, especially the top 10 that we start with today, and a lot of different sort of techniques, approaches in play.
Fair to say, a lot of the leaders that we're with, some of the biggest names that we've covered in the last 12 months, but oddly enough, usually when you get to this point of an event, guys, especially when you're at a 4-pound average, guys are like, man, I'm on them. That is not necessarily the case here on Eufaula. A lot of curveballs, but with that being said, I think we're going to see a lot more shallow water, topwater fishing today than we've seen the entire week.
All right, we're going to have a lot of looks at a lot of different situations going on out there, helping us out with that, as always. Of course, the two stalwarts, Ronnie Moore, Mike Sukon. Ronnie, what do you got on your mind this morning? You've been at work for a while.
I don't know about stalwarts, Tommy, but I'm excited for day 3. We've had 25 bags, 20 pounds or more the last few days. So day 1, day 2, those bags are still coming in. Big Bass came yesterday from the offshore guys, yet we see the top of the leaderboard being shallow. It'll be interesting to see which technique prevails as we head to the weekend.
And the story behind the story for you, Such.
The lead change, and we had 5 different guys move into our top 10 yesterday. I want to see what's going on today. We've already had, I think I called maybe 10 lead changes yesterday. Today we've already had 3 different guys get atop the leaderboard.
For some reason, 10 sounds low. Let's see how they all wound up, where they finally landed at the end of the day yesterday.
Speaking about wound up.
Yeah, man, Clark Wendlandt. What a joy to watch Clark Wendlandt at work.
Absolutely put on a show on Lake Eufaula. Look for that to continue today.
18-12 for Clark Wendlandt to notch 6th place. Caleb Koval, first time seeing him here on Bassmaster. Koval or Koval? Ronnie says Koval.
Koval. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
How about sitting in 4th place? Kyle Welcher sitting in 4th place, which 41 pounds, 2 ounces.
Kyle Welcher, we're going to be watching him all day long. Scott Canterbury, how about the guy who won Angler of the Year last year? Just as strong and solid. He is right up there in the standings again this year. Jake Whittaker, man, oh man, what a tournament he is having. What a season. The young man from North Carolina.
Exactly right. Big weight so far, 41 pounds, 10 ounces. But Boy, we saw a lot of him last year in the 2019 season on the Bassmaster Elite Series. Big weight yesterday. 10 bass on the scale so far, 43 pounds and 5 ounces.
Very much looking forward to breaking down what Matt Arey is doing. He's one of these little bit of both kind of guys out there today. There's our current leaderboard, according to Bass Track. Jamie Hartman, who we saw jump out to the lead early yesterday, doing the exact same thing today. He is out very quickly in front of the field, but not by much. Again, tight competition is what has defined this tournament. Over the last 2 days, it is a horse race where no one's been able to run away and hide, and that's what we fully expect today. Show you some stuff from earlier this morning in the boat with Matt Arey.
Dude, I was winding my jig in. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Dude. Well, it's been a little slower than I've liked this morning. It's, you know, the frog bite hasn't materialized yet. We just caught our first one on a frog. Not a big one, you know, just a solid keeper. And hoping we can get a few more key bites on it today. We're rerunning some water, which I know shallow fishing is right now. I've been running a lot more new water each day, but this is water I fished the last couple days, and it just keeps producing. The wind's been blowing in on it. It's got good depth out in front of it, and it keeps reloading with a few new fish every day. We got 3 in the box, but we're looking for, you know, we don't have any of the right ones yet. We need a couple of those 5-pounders and get us right back on track. Gonna bounce around a little bit today, shallow to deep, see what happens.
Matt Arey with 3 fish, none of them with much size, about a 2-pound average, 2.5-pound average so far today.
But something that we have not heard, he is one of the anglers that has made shallow and deep work throughout. There's a lot of guys have tried, but not executed on that. From there, Matt Arey up here at Takeoff. We're going to take a look at Scott Canterbury, also Matt Arey's roommate, doing pretty much the exact same thing.
Get in here. That's worth getting it out. 3.5. He's super, super, super skinny. You know, it's been slow. We started out deep and went shallow. I caught one, you know, a pretty good fish, like a 3 1/4 on a frog up real shallow. Bounced around, hit one ledge, couldn't get anything going. Now I'm fishing a brush pile. Not many bites so far, so it's early. I mean, you just got to go at it hard as you can all day, and you'll get some bites throughout the day. It's just when they feed, you got to be on them. So I know yesterday it was slow all day, and then, you know, 10 or 11, about 11 o'clock or so, they started biting pretty good. So we're gonna keep bouncing around, shallow to deep, back out. So see how it goes.
One of the true Alabama hammers for sure. Scott Canterbury, last year's Angler of the Year. Got a good one on a frog there. Good news for most all of us today. Everybody loves to watch frog fishing, and we have a prospect of seeing a good bit of that. Much of it from this fellow right here, Jake Whittaker.
Exactly right, Jake Whittaker. Not a real good practice, doing what he does, his strength. Good one earlier today.
Number one, he ain't very big, but we'll take him to start the day off with. Not bad. I mean, it's just small.
Oh, that's solid gold right there. That's what we're all looking for. The more of that we get.
One this morning, just caught one back there. It's small, 2-pounder. Caught it on frog, had one more blow up, and it hit it so hard it just missed it. It's
it's really wild how hard they're hitting a frog. It's fun. They explode on it. But got one. Yesterday was slow. Today is slow. I was talking earlier. I don't know if these fish roam in the mornings or whatever without some cloud cover, but I think as the sun actually gets higher, they get tighter into the grass and under these boat docks even better. So, who's to say? My bite was better yesterday, somewhere around 10 o'clock actually. So maybe we can get in one of these little pockets or areas that has a few fish ready to bite, and we'll get them. So it's all good. We got plenty of time, all day. We'll figure something out.
Jake Whittaker, who started the day as the leader in our 2020 Angler of the Year race. Great season so far for the young man from North Carolina, the man on top of our leaderboard right now. In fact, we're going B&W trailer hitch on the line with Jamie Hartman right now, our leader. Did the same thing. He was our leader early yesterday. Jamie, if you could spare us a moment, we would be most happy. Doing exactly what you were yesterday morning or something a little bit different?
Same thing, starting out slow. I got a bus. I don't think he's gonna help me much, if at all, but sorry about the interruption.
No, please, more of that, if you don't mind.
I'll try, man. It got real slow, real slow for me, and I just repositioned the boat just a touch, and it seems like I got bitten on my first cast when I repositioned. But man, I've been catching real steady, and all of a sudden I catch that big fish, they just shut right off, and I can't figure out why, but I hope they're not done. I hope they're just starting to group up, because I was catching them in one cast. And
well, Jamie, that is great stuff. We're having a little trouble hearing you, so we're going to get back to you. But Jamie Hartman out there, so slow he catches a fish before he can answer the first question.
Yeah, he said it's been miserable slowly, yet he's completely leading this tournament in the first 45 minutes.
Oh, that's what it's been like here. No one knows what anyone else is doing at any point in time, and probably better that they don't, because things change so incredibly quickly.
How about a Bassmaster Classic champion showing up in the top 10?
Cherry with a 6-pounder, big bag already,
place.
15.5 pounds.
What else is on the way? We got the whole day ahead of us here on Bassmaster
Live.
The DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula is being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
Your time on the water is precious. You return season after season to make unforgettable memories. Fight a few fish, reconnect with friends, and recenter yourself. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters stay with Yamaha for the long run, for life. They know reliability starts here.
Groundbreaking designs, unsurpassed quality, and unshakable confidence. Welcome to the Ranger Z500 and Z100 series. Leading the industry for over 50 years, these rigs are custom crafted and loaded with more features and advantages to deliver the ultimate ownership experience. The legendary Ranger Z series. Unleash next level performance. Mercury, go boldly.
You're watching the DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula, being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
Here we go. Great to have you with us. That is the scene right there on incredible Lake Eufaula, right here on the border between Alabama and Georgia. As we resume the 2020 season of the Bassmaster Elite Series, we have passed the halfway point. We're in day 3 of this 4-day event. The rules of our game, as we say, 4 days to fish. We started with 86 anglers, the full field. After 2 days, yesterday at the weigh-in, we cut it down to 40 anglers who will compete today on day number 3. After today's competition at the weigh-in, the top 10 anglers only will advance to the final day championship Saturday. Of course, there's a 5-fish limit for each day. We'll explain all that for you. And it's 8 hours a day of fishing. It's equal for all the anglers today. Let's place you in the country down the southeast border, as we say, between Alabama and Georgia. 85 miles of the Chattahoochee River compose Lake Eufaula. Mark Zona?
Exactly right. And really, usually by this point of this event, we have an MVP in this tournament, somebody that is shining. But that lake right there, that has been our MVP. If you got to tune in to this broadcast yesterday on ESPN2, these guys absolutely wrecked them all day. And not just good fish, they caught big ones the entire day.
And one of the great things about this tournament, we have no idea what's going to happen today. Who's fragile, who is on something solid. It's really kind of hard to pin it all down.
Exactly right. And really, this lake has 2 different faces. So far in this tournament, we've seen a lot of guys offshore fishing very deep water. Today, I think we're going to see a lot of guys very, very close to the bank.
Different leader each of the 2 days. Bill Lowen on day 1, and Matt Airy. He's the leader to start this morning, and this was him earlier today.
Dude, I was winding my jig in. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Dude. Well, it's been a lot slower morning than I anticipated. I was hoping to get a few more frog bites. The frog bite's been really slow. We've only caught 1 on the frog. Still shallow, gonna stay shallow for a while. We've got 3 fish in the box. None of them are the right ones yet, but we got a long day ahead of us. We may bounce around deep a little bit later, see if we can't pick up a couple, good quality keepers and keep mixing it up. I'm gonna definitely run some new water today. Rerunning some water right now from yesterday that the wind's been blowing in here, and it seemed to replenish a few fish from the first day, and was hoping to pick up a few, and we picked up a couple, but nothing of the right ones. But any cast with this frog right now on Lake Eufaula could be a true giant, one of them 6 or 7 pounders, and that's what it's going to take to win this tournament. So we're going to keep plugging away till we can hopefully connect with 1 or 2 of those. You don't get a lot of those bites shallow, so when you do, you got to execute and make sure you put them in the boat. That's the biggest thing about fishing shallow in June. Most places you're going to go, you're not going to go out there and catch 50 shallow on a frog, but some of the biggest fish in the lakes all over the southeast especially live shallow this time of year. And they're feeding on bluegill and brim and things like that, and sunfish. And frogs, of course. And there's a lot of frogs on this place. I've heard plenty of them chit-chatting on the bank every day.
Matt Airy giving us his take on exactly what's happening on the water. And, of course, Matt Airy and the rest of the field knows that it's changing hour to hour as well. And their adaptability is what makes them so good, these anglers.
Yeah, Matt Airy caught some giants shallow yesterday. Why don't we slide down to his roommate, 2019 Angler of the Year champion, Scott Canterbury. And this one caught earlier this morning.
In here. That's worth getting it out. 3.5. He's super, super, super skinny.
Look at that bite rate. And for our friends that are joining us on ESPN2, that is not a bobber. That right there is a topwater frog. And actually, that's what a lot of these guys are doing early in the morning. They'll get in a little flurry. But really, throughout this tournament, a lot of better than average size bass have come on that lure.
So much fun to watch. I mean, when you can see the bite in all its glory, all its violence, it's entertainment for sure. And we have a prospect of more of that today, and now live with Scott Canterbury.
There he is. Stay on there. I may have to, no. Yeah. No, maybe not. We'll see what it does. I may have to cut my mic off. Yep.
Well, that fish right there was right on cue. You see guys kind of bouncing around a little bit more today than we saw on days 1 and 2 of this event, where we're predominantly the folks that we've had cameras on were really kind of committed to either staying offshore or staying shallow. A lot of the guys that are leading this tournament have been able to execute
I don't know if it's
both.
off. How you cut it off?
He drilled that fish. I mean, he hammered that fish.
Yeah, it was a...
For those wondering why he keeps saying he needs to take his mic and turn it off, the frequency of that scale, it's a digital scale, the frequency in that and the mic transmitter makes it not be as accurate. So he has to turn his mic off real quick, weigh that fish, get an accurate read, and turn it back on.
Some of the anglers using these digital scales so they know exactly how much each fish in their live well weighs when it comes time to cull. You want to get rid of your smallest fish, you know instantly what fish to go to.
And in this event so far, it has been, I mean, this is one of the tightest tournaments we've had in a year or two. Every ounce will count by weigh-in time.
Oh boy, certainly has been that way so far. How about an angler who, like Jamie Hartman, won twice? Incredibly, it's so difficult to win even once. He and Jamie Hartman both won twice last season on the Elite Tour.
Exactly right. Brandon Cobb last year, what was funny was we got to his home lake on Lake Hartwell. He dominated. He did exactly what everybody thought he would do there. Shortly after this event, went to Texas Fest in Texas, and it was an absolute blowout for Brandon Cobb.
A beatdown at the Toyota Bassmaster Texas Fest with fish that looked like that.
I got it.
Just an eye-popping tournament, and he had the best effort of all.
Come here. Yes.
Century Club effort, 100 pounds. That is a rare and wonderful thing.
Look at that.
One of the most sought after titles, designations you can get in the sport of bass fishing. A fella who owns so many of those titles and designations is the great Davey Hyde, out there covering on the water for us all week long. And Davey, you're out there with Brandon Cobb, and what looks different to you today from the first 2 days as you get out on the lake?
Well, I saw it a little bit yesterday, but today you're really seeing guys, even though we've narrowed the field down to only 40, we had 87, but now we're down to 40, but you see fishermen fishing the exact same brush piles, the exact same offshore ledges. I talked about it a little bit the first morning. The place is getting the least pressure, which is so different than it has been in years past, but more and more with the advancement of our electronics and that sort of thing, more and more people are fishing offshore, but the guys that are fishing the bank, there's a lot less pressure on the bank. I was with Matt Airy early this morning. I mean, he just got a free run. There wasn't another boat fishing the bank within miles of him. And then I come down the lake and I see Clark Wendlandt with about 5 or 6 spectator boats. Brandon Cobb's fishing the brush piles within 100 yards of him. And Brandon Cobb told me this is something pretty interesting. He said, I changed my rotation a little bit this morning. I had no idea there were so many people fishing the same brush piles I was fishing. He's been fishing a number of the brush piles that Clark Wendlandt's fishing and some other anglers. So just absolutely incredible that these guys are fishing the same either offshore structure or the brush piles. I really think, I mentioned it the first day, somebody fishing a bank and can stick with it and make adjustments and fish new water through the day and find a few more brim beds. The Mayflower hatch is picked up a little bit more and more, but those guys, you're going to have to keep an eye on them. This thing's going to come down. There'll be a few people offshore and a few people fishing shallow that'll definitely have a great chance to win this event.
Davey, predominantly this time of year, if folks are just tuning in to this tournament, predominantly this time of year, this tournament will be dominated fishing deep, fishing offshore. Talk about the factors that have made that shallow water bite, at least up until now, hold for some of the giants we've seen it weigh in.
Yeah, Zee, we've talked about this, but for people that are just tuning in, it's so important. The lake level has been rising every day of this tournament. And even though these fish are usually offshore, like you mentioned, and 90% of the field will be fishing offshore on a typical June event here at Lake Eufaula, but the water has actually been rising. We haven't been getting a lot of rain here. I guess they've been getting it north of here, but it rose almost 6 inches yesterday, up again this morning. They did generate last night, so it'll actually start coming up during the day today a whole lot more. They generated more last night than they have any time this week from, well, I say last night, it was actually 1 a.m. until 6 a.m., and I think they didn't shut it off until 6. I think that's why you saw Jamie Hartman and a few of those guys that are fishing offshore had a good start this morning. But today, during the day, the lake level will rise. It should rise. They're not going to generate any during the day until about 2 o'clock when these guys will be checking in. So the lake level should rise, and you'll see those shallow water fishermen do well, in my opinion, probably at 10, 11, 12 o'clock on.
Davey, great stuff. Thank you so much. Davey's going to be on the case all day long. He is going to be all over the lake burning a lot of gas to bring us the stories as they unfold. Again, changing, like Davey said, from hour to hour. Big difference between today and yesterday. What is it we have in common with yesterday is about this time yesterday, same guy in the lead, Jamie Hartman, but things, as we know, take on a different complexion as we get deeper into the morning, midday, and onward.
Exactly right. Mike Sukan said it. That leaderboard has bounced all over the first hour of competition here on day 3.
Expect more of the same. We'll be back with more of Bassmaster
Live.
The DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula is being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
What do a taco and a taco truck have in common? Nothing. If you want to play, you need a Tacoma.
When I'm on the road for work or for fun, I always like to have a reliable generator around. This open frame inverter from Champlain is ideal because it's lighter than a standard open frame generator and more affordable than a traditional inverter. The remote start helps me start up the generator or shut it off without having to leave my camper. It provides essential power for things like charging my boat batteries, also makes life a lot more comfortable for myself and my family.
I can vividly remember back when I was a kid and, searching for information. And it was so much work and it was such a struggle to get that knowledge, to get that information.
We talked about the equipment, we talked about the bait, we talked about how to pick it apart.
It's highly detailed, specific information from A to Z to help you learn, get to the water, and become a better angler quickly. That's what the Bass University is all about.
If you love bass fishing, then show your support by joining B.A.S.S today. With your membership, you'll receive every issue of Bassmaster magazine, plus $50 in free gear, including a membership tackle bag, B.A.S.S cap, plus more. Click now on this video to join today.
The DeWalt's Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula is brought to you by Power Pole, Skeeter Boats, Yamaha, and by Toyota.
Bassmaster DeWalt Elite on Lake Eufaula, second stop of the year as we resume the 2020 Bassmaster Elite Series. This is Bassmaster Live. We'll be here for, 2.5 more hours in our morning session, and today at noon, after we set aside for about an hour, we will continue, taking you all the way to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. That's about when they start the weigh-in. A lot of drama yesterday. All these anglers, the 86 anglers who started the first 2 days, were cut down to 40. You had to make your move yesterday. Possibly even more drama today, as you got to fight your way into the top 10 if you're going to have a shot at the championship, a shot at some more points. And here's one of our big performers so far in this tournament. Rookie of the Year leader right now, Kyle Welcher.
All right, so we're on one of the best lakes in the country right now, and we ain't hardly catching much today so far, but we're still trying to get a big bite shallow before we go fish out deep for a few hours. So it ain't really flowing today, but I've had some bites. Really need to catch a couple big ones that I can actually weigh in.
Earlier today, this was Kyle Welcher in action. He hooked up early.
Just in time. Number one, shouldn't be.
Kyle is a person who went from being a professional gambler to being a de facto professional gambler.
No, and we got to talk to Kyle last night after the weigh-in. I said, wow, you used to be a professional poker player. He's like, oh, no, I still play poker. And he said the only time that I don't think about fishing is when I am playing poker. And I'm not saying this jokingly. He is when you have a conversation with him, very calculated, intelligent human. Look, if you make your living playing poker, you're fairly smart.
Yeah.
If you're successful.
And you could be very well suited to this game where
Right.
Nothing is guaranteed. Also much like the game of poker. Very personable guy.
Absolutely.
Very smart guy.
Said all of his poker winnings basically funded his professional fishing career.
Throw down your best five.
Good way to put it, Suge. Jake Whittaker.
Yeah, I'm fine. I feel good. I mean, the way I'm fishing, I'm not going to catch 20 fish. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to, on a good day, I'll get 10 bites. So, I mean, it's just all about covering water for me and just fishing everything in front of me. And if it works out, it's going to work out. And if not, then I can't say that I've fished any different than I wanted to. So, yeah, I'm fine. I've got a ton of water to cover. There's plenty of fish in this lake, and there's no way we've caught them all, but we are going to have to work a little bit harder for them. So when everybody starts setting hook on them after 2 days, they start to thin out pretty quick. But there's plenty of fish in this lake, and there's a lot up shallow, and that's the way we're going to do it. So we're feeling good. We're fine. We're just going to keep plugging away at it.
Jake Whittaker, leader to start this day.
Yes.
Angler of the Year points. Quite an accomplishment for the third year.
Can't slip up with first place Matt Arey in this event is 1 point behind him in AOY. Scott Canterbury, third in this event, is 2 points behind him. There's just the top three in this event are the top three in AOY.
Yeah. It's great. I got to watch him at St. John's, had a big tournament down in Florida to start the season. We had there, obviously, our little bit of a timeout here on the Bassmaster Elite Series. And I said, what area of the lake are you fishing? He said, I'm fishing a lot of the short pockets down near the dam here on Lake Eufaula. And he said, man, I'm not getting a lot of bites, but they're big ones. I said, do you feel like they're replenishing each day? Are they reloading? He said, absolutely not. Right.
It's probably one of the earliest keepers he's caught over the first 3 days of competition. He's normally been a 8:30, 9 o'clock guy Central Time when he finally catches his first one.
Caleb Koval?
I'm going to go Caleb
All right,
Koval.
Caleb Koval. We're getting to know Caleb.
Last night.
He comes from a town in Wisconsin, which the name of that town is even harder to pronounce than his name. So I'm
I
not
tried
even
to
going
pronounce that, but here's the thing. Caleb Koval, if it's wrong, it's on him.
Okay. That's all we need to know. He signed the release, in other words. Great entry into the Bassmaster Elite Series. Had a tremendous BassPro.com Open schedule last year in the Central Opens, finishing first and one second and another.
And then kind of what I expected. Got a few strikes right off the bat. Just throwing a buzzbait through all this grass, fishing big sections of it, find little pockets where the fish are, just here and there. And I've had probably 5 or 6 strikes already throwing this buzzbait around, and only boated one of them. So I got another one up to the boat, and I don't know, they're not hitting it quite like they have been the last couple of days. I've had quite a few just miss it, just set the hook, there's nothing there. So we'll see what we can do the rest of the morning here. I don't know, I'm thinking of probably moving on and trying something a little bit different. Give this another probably 10 minutes and we'll see what happens.
A rookie from Mukwonago, Wisconsin. How
No,
about that?
you
Yes,
did
I did.
not. No, you did.
There's more where that came from.
Whew, bullseye, my friend. From Wisconsin, said his home water really is the Mississippi River, fishing a lot like you would there. Buzzbait and homemade jig. Really caught a lot yesterday, but he said, which is stunning, with a lot of our anglers that are fishing shallow, it seems to really, really ignite from about mid-morning on.
I'm just impressed. Guys normally in his neck of the woods or more northern call this stuff weeds, not grass. But he said grass, and I liked
Seaweed.
that. I liked that.
Tommy, give me the home name again.
Mukwonago, Wisconsin. Yeah.
Just around the corner from Ashwaubenon. Sorry.
That's right. Here
I'm
we
not
go.
scared, bud.
But a long way from Skaneateles.
I'll jump in the pool, my friend.
All right, very nice, very nice. Top water action, you can't have a better prospect than that for a day of live bass fishing. We're going to have that for you today. This was earlier, Scott Canterbury. The next time we saw him, he was out fishing deep. That's going to be the nature of things today for a lot of these anglers. Early on this third day.
Good bites, man.
Ooh, love to watch it, love to watch it. Who is going to stand on top of the heap at the end of the day? Be crazy to even predict it, but we are going to be here for you. Again, this morning until 11 Eastern Time and resume at noon. Jamie Hartman, a New York angler from not far from Skaneateles. On top of the leaderboard, Chad Pipkins, the Michigander, moving into second place. The leader to start the day, Matt Arey. Now in third place, Alabama's Clint Davis. Florida's Drew Cook and all the rest. We are going to pick it up in just a few minutes. We'll take a break right now and be back with Bassmaster
Live.
The DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula is being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
I'm pro angler Andy Montgomery. I've been making my living with Strike King products for a long time. So when they showed me the new Tour Grade line, I was all in. I knew I could trust it. What I didn't know was how easy it was to use. with the spooling tool and the prepaid envelope to recycle your old line included in every single box. Not only is it the best line on the market, it gives you the easiest fishing experience possible. Find out more at StrikeKing.com.
Skeeter, is it still setting the standard? Let's see. First bass boat, first U.S. Coast Guard approved bass boat, first wheel pad design, largest owners tournament, great fish and win program, first sponsored whole capacity concept, first production composite bass boat. Yeah, way too much for 30 seconds. And 18 consecutive CSI awards. Now we have introduced the FX Apex series, a fully featured boat with so many standard options, leaving nothing left to desire. So yes, we are still setting the standard. Skeeter.
This reel allows you to cover more water, make more casts, giving you more opportunities to catch more fish. The new Revo Rocket, Abu Garcia for life.
You're watching the DeWalt's Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula, being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
Well, very important tournament, one of only 8 regular season events. What's the most important tournament in the world? The World Championship, the Bassmaster Classic in 2021. Just announced a few weeks ago. It's going to be Fort Worth, Texas, the host city, and Lake Ray Roberts on the Trinity River. Great combination. Trinity River and Ray Roberts that time of year should produce big ones. We got a brand new Dickies Arena, state-of-the-art, wonderful facility in a great sports town. Great town overall. Fort Worth, Texas for the first time. For the World Championship, the Bassmaster Classic. There's your leader and winner. 3 days, wire to wire at the Bassmaster Classic 2019. Hank Cherry, we saw him just pop up into the top 10 a little bit ago. Here on Lake Eufaula, what a great playing field we have. It is wonderful fishing, but it can be challenging and has been. For 40 anglers who have really done everything they could, working as hard as they can to make it to today.
To kind of rewind how this tournament's progressed so far, if you're just tuning into this event right now, this man right here, Clark Wendelin, we were with him all day yesterday, fishing isolated brush piles, caught more on camera than any angler we've been on this entire event.
Look at this. It's like a little perch they spit up. That's pretty awesome. All right, we'll take that one. Not a great big one, but keeper. 2-pounder.
Really, you're looking at 2.
Uh-oh, that's a good one. Yeah, giant.
Ooh.
That's the kind we're after right there.
I was just getting ready to say, you're looking at two of the best fishermen in the world right here. That is why you win the 2019 Angler of the Year title.
Scott had fallen out of the top 3 down into 13th place as of just a few minutes ago, and look at this.
Gosh, that is a giant.
That is a post-spawn fish, too, and it's still so gigantic. That thing would have weighed 8 pounds 2 months ago, right?
Good one right there for Scott Canterbury. Doing the same thing that we were just coming off of Clark Wendelet. Guys that are fishing just isolated, a little bit shallower brush piles that have been put out by a lot of the locals here. And really, it's more of a, we talked about it so much yesterday, it's a law of average. Fish as many of those piles in a day for fish like that.
Canterbury dominated last year, 2019, got his start at the St. Johns River. Slow couple of days, and then he turned it on and really never turned it off, with one maybe hiccup, if you could say it was, at Lake Fork. But look at those finishes, especially as he goes north, the versatility displayed by this guy.
After we left Lake Gunnersville, where he took 22nd, when we went up north, we were all kind of like, it's going to even out here. It'll balance out with our Angler of the Year race. That is when he dropped the clutch and absolutely separated himself from the rest of the field.
Well, clutch is a word you could apply to that guy in so many situations. He has been a little bit behind it, but he always figures out a way to come out on top of things, it seems. And we just saw it again.
Yeah, I pulled up on a brush pile, another brush pile. I found it during practice, and I hadn't made a cast on it the whole tournament. And first cast that I hit it. You know, that's the... When I'm brush pile fishing, I mean, I fish ledges, I fish docks, like I said, but when I'm brush pile fishing, the thing that's helped me the most is that Lowrance live. So I don't know if y'all can see it, but at 40 foot out there, there's a big brush pile, and I can stop way before I get to it. So I'm having to, especially, it was a big difference because the winds changed 180 degrees. So, you know, during practice, when I'd set up to fish them, I'd mark it from the other side because I was throwing, you know, sitting there holding into the wind. So now I'm having to get down current from it because there's wind blowing with the current, and knowing how to set up on it, you know, with that live sight's really helped me. But I caught, first cast in there, I catch a big one, like a 5-pounder. So, you know, it's pretty awesome.
And I'm going to tell you, he hits them. When they bite,
oh, yeah,
he hits them, man.
No quarter given.
Absolutely right.
No, he wants to make sure that this he completes the task at hand.
Feel his wrath.
That 5-pounder put him back in 3rd place.
Wow.
And like we were saying, a law of average is...
Bites that I've gotten out of brush this week have been anywhere from 7 foot, you know, out to about 18. So, you know, you just have to keep bouncing around. There's that brush again. But you just have to keep bouncing around and show them different baits. Each pile, I mean, sometimes you'll pull up and throw a worm and not get a bite, and then you catch one on a crankbait or vice versa. I just try to keep showing them a variety at everywhere I stop, even out on the ledges.
We've been talking a lot about brush piles throughout the course of these 2 days. A very, very popular activity for folks around Lake Eufaula in every state, where the conservation authorities encourage that as a way to put out habitat for fish, and they do a bang-up job of it here. And now with the sophisticated electronics, they're easy to locate for these anglers. Time was back in the day, about the only ones you could find were the ones that you set out. So that game has changed. That area leader to start the day, currently in 4th place. Jake Whittaker, slow morning for him. But again, his schedule starts a little bit later, based on the first 2 days.
Exactly right. We've been talking about brush piles this entire tournament. The nice thing, being near the headquarters of Humminbird, they actually went out on the lake and got us a screenshot of what a brush pile looks like beneath your boat. And if you take a look at this, here's the bottom of Lake Eufaula right here, and then you'll see that brush pile with the branches coming out with a pile of bait above it with the bass beneath it. But the other side of this is a lot of the technology that these guys are using. Ronnie, let's go to what's called Mega 360, and here's what it is. You see the boat in the center, okay, with this 60-foot radius. It's basically underwater sonar to show you. Right here, you would want to make that cast. Here's your brush pile off to about 2 o'clock, and you see that brush pile at about 30 feet from your boat. So you basically make a cast at 2 o'clock, and you will come right through that brush pile. And we said this enough, is it's a law of average. If you can hit 50 of those a day, and trust me when I say this, there are tens of thousands of planted brush piles in this lake. If you can hit as many as possible, make 3 to 5 casts to these brush piles throughout the day, somewhere you will catch 5 big ones.
And they say, Z, you wonder how can I tell this is a good brush pile, or how can I tell how tall it is via this view? That's what those dark shadows, those dark shadows, it's showing that sonar is going to ping that brush pile, and however long that shadow is, that's how big that brush pile is.
And for somebody at home, some of these brush piles are, the radius of them, they're enormous. They're not the size of a desk. Some of them are the size of a flatbed truck, and that's how a lot of them get into this lake.
Obviously, brush piles are going to be important the rest of day 3 for sure.
All of our anglers who are fishing deep, we're talking about the deep versus shallow. Brush piles are certainly the focus for these guys, and certainly has been for that giant we saw earlier.
Exactly right.
Giant.
It's time, my friend.
Oh,
It
what?
is. Yeah, already. Yeah, I'm not scared. I'm pulling double duty right now. Screen of knowledge and the Power Pole replay of the day.
Great job.
Scott Canterbury, my friend. It's been pretty easy. One of the biggest ones we've seen the entire tournament. So far, you are the Power Pole replay of the day.
There he is.
That's right.
There he is.
We're getting there.
Okay.
We're getting there.
Good.
Pop, flare, and sizzle.
Yep.
That's what the Power Pole replay of the day is.
Oh, it's back. Well, no doubt about it. As you say, the hook sets with Scott Canterbury are going to be emphatic, to say the least. That 10-inch worm, we've seen a lot of that, especially with the Clark Windlet.
Giant right there for Scott Canterbury. One of the top 3 or 4 fish we have seen so far in this event on camera. Big one right there for Scott Canterbury. The Power Pole replay of the day.
Well done. Well done. Okay. Well done, Scott Canterbury, going from 3rd down to 13th, and with one swing of the rod back up into 3rd place. That's how volatile it is out there, and it will be for the continuation, the rest of this tournament, all the way to the end of tomorrow when we crown a champion. Jamie Hartman, who was crowned twice last season on the Bassmaster Elite Series, still holding the lead right now. A lot of guys in pursuit. The competition is tight. We'll be back with more Bassmaster Live.
The DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula is being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
The season is starting and it's time for you to bring it. Pit your knowledge against friends and fans everywhere in Rapala Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing. It's free and it starts by signing up. Then pick your 5-angler team for each event. Grand prize winner gets a Bass Pro Shop shopping spree, cash, and Rapala prize pack. Plus new opportunities including $4,000 worth of prizes for each individual event winner. Plus another $500 if you're a Bass member. Total value for the season is $90,000. Sign up today and start bringing it at BassmasterFantasy.com.
When I'm on the road for work or for fun, I always like to have a reliable generator around. This open frame inverter from Champion is ideal because it's lighter than a standard open frame generator and more affordable than a traditional inverter. The remote start helps me start up the generator or shut it off without having to leave my camper. It provides essential power for things like charging my boat batteries, also makes life a lot more comfortable for myself and my family.
Bassmaster Sweepstakes prizes are crazy good, and you'd be crazy not to enter.
Yeah, baby!
Enter now to win a fishing trip with 50th Bassmaster Classic champion Hank Cherry. Trip includes airfare, rental car, hotel, and $500 cash, plus a Bass Cat Saber FTD with Mercury 150 Pro XS Garmin electronics, and an amazing prize pack. Total value more than $50,000. There's a 100% chance you won't win if you don't enter. Go to Bassmaster.com and up the odds in your favor. It's fast and easy, and who knows? You could win.
You're watching the DeWalt's Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula, being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
Live bass fishing at the highest level. We got it for you today. 5 more hours of it on your way on Bassmaster Live. Tomorrow is Championship Saturday. Here on ESPN, the coverage starts at noon. The final 3 hours of fishing, taking you all the way up until weigh-in time. Also available starting at 8 a.m. on the app. So you can get your live Bassmaster fix all day long tomorrow. The app, ESPN2. We got a lot of information, a lot of the process today, a lot of analysis. That's why we lean on guys like Ronnie, Z, Jamie Hartman, the man on top now. He's holding on, still got a good, healthy lead.
Not the biggest lead we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, 2 pounds is a huge lead compared to
Yeah.
what we've seen. It's been so tight, and that is great. That is good news. Let's get out to our leader, Jamie Hartman, right now.
What's that? Yeah, bite went from fast and furious, hot and heavy to, it was like yesterday too, just a light switch, man. They shut down, and I'm picking them off about every 20 minutes, it seems like, on average. They seem like they slow down on that big worm, so I picked up a drop shot because I have a lot of confidence in catching them with a drop shot even when they're not being very active. So I picked it up, and first cast I catch a 4-pounder, so I know it's gonna work. I got a big old worm on there. We're looking good right now. I've got a lot of room because I've got 3 in the 2-pound range. So I've got a lot of room for improvement. My deal here has been not being able to catch the big fish. I've been catching a lot of, I've been catching enough of those 3-pound class fish, and I have never got a big bite. Well, today I've caught a 512 and another 4-pounder, and those are the biggest fish I've caught, and it's the slowest it's been. So I think they're here, and I just got to pick them off one at a time. I don't care if I burn this today. I really don't. I've been here a couple hours now, and if I burn it out today, I don't care.
Jamie Hartman plotting his strategy for today. Better listen to Jamie Hartman. About 4 years ago, a regional fisherman primarily in upstate New York, sold everything, joined the circus, joined the Bassmaster
Threw
Elite
everything
Series.
in a storage unit.
Yeah, and just took off down the road and has established himself as a top-tier guy, culminating in last year, starting here about a year ago at Lake Guntersville in Alabama.
Exactly right. On the final day of competition, none of us were looking at Jamie Hartman, and he landed on the mother load of giant largemouth bass. Takes the title there, and then we make that northern swing, really where you expected Jamie Hartman to do well. Puts it away on Cayuga, but another tournament that he was just quiet, steady, and on the final day, holds the trophy.
Tough competition, had to defeat the likes of charging Chris Zaldane and others on that day. Man, oh man, a sweet victory in his home, sort of his native area there in upstate New York for Jamie Hartman.
Right. Pretty much what we learned about Jamie Hartman, when the bass get deeper than 10 feet of water, we usually see him on Championship Saturday. Fishing about 18 to 22 feet of water every morning in that spot that he's on. It's ignited every single morning this tournament. It's not like he's fishing a half-mile stretch. He's fishing about a 10 to 30 yard irregularity just off the main river channel, but every morning it seems like it's reloaded. This morning, he said he's not caught as many, but they've actually gotten bigger than the first 2 days of competition.
The best limit of the day so far that I've been able to discern has been laid down by the guy on the right, who also happens to be the reigning world champion, 2019 Classic champ Hank Cherry. He fired today, and what a wire-to-wire beatdown he put on that field at Lake Guntersville. Just absolutely made the right decision. Never burned a gallon of gas probably during the course of that event, and just absolutely dominated each and every day.
Unbelievable Bassmaster Classic on one of the most popular lakes in the country, Lake Guntersville. Hank Cherry, so close before. First Classic he ever fished on Grand Lake in Oklahoma. Really came within one fish of taking that Bassmaster Classic title.
12 pounds, 14 ounces, 19 pounds, 8 ounces. The 50th Bassmaster Classic finishes with a Cherry on top.
A lot of hard work went into it, and a lot of good decision making on those most important single 3 days of the season in the world of bass fishing.
What's crazy is over the years, Guntersville's been deemed the best lake in Alabama, one of the best lakes in the country. And for anglers to have just fished Guntersville, know all about Guntersville, but to come to Eufaula and give it, I heard it weigh in yesterday by a couple guys, this is definitely the best lake in Alabama right now. And that just speaks volumes to Eufaula, seeing how good Guntersville was at the Classic.
So Hank Cherry, sitting currently in 10th place. That is a good move for him. Very opportune time, as only the top 10 are going to make it into the competition tomorrow.
So far, the biggest shot of the day, though, from Scott Canterbury. Just like Clark Wendelin, said he has to go through as many brush piles as possible, but this is the reason why.
Again, these are all, if you're just joining with us today, these are all post-spawn fish here. They spawned quite a while ago, lost all their weight, their egg weight, but now they're just starting to feed back up again. That one long and skinny, and that's a typical look.
Mike, can they hear me or just live fish? Oh, it's getting a little better. We've been bouncing around. This is a hard spot out here right off the channel. It's like a secondary channel, but pulled up on a brush pile a while ago that I found during practice. I hadn't even made a cast on it this week and caught a 5-pounder, so it's been good so far. Just got to keep bouncing around, hitting. I think if you can, hit enough fresh places, everything it'll be good. So trying to keep an open mind today and fish instincts a lot more. You come into this and you work all week and try to make a plan, but you do that, you practice by your instincts and you catch them. So you got to keep doing that, keep changing all week. That's the biggest thing. Like last year, I had a phenomenal year last year, but that was the biggest thing that I took out of it, is I just kept changing, following your gut and your instincts, and just bouncing around from deep to shallow, whatever you want to do, throwing a top water to swimming a jig the next day, and that's the way all of us as anglers figure them out during practice. Is you go do what you think looks good, and then it comes tournament time and you want to try to catch them the exact same way you caught them during practice, and it doesn't work out sometimes. So trying my best to keep an open mind and just keep fishing. If I can fish clean, I think everything's going to be good.
About going from that worm to the jig to the crankbait.
Yeah, these fish are pressured out here, and they're you know, there's been a lot of tournaments the last week or two. So I think you got to show them, you know, a variety of baits. I'll pull up on a place and throw a worm, the big 11-inch C-Mac from net bait, because that's what I got the most confidence in. But then if I don't get a bite, I'll throw my jig in there. Don't get a bite, I'll throw a crankbait. So you just keep mixing it up. Sometimes you catch them on the crankbait after you've already fished it with everything. So keep going with it, and we're going to see if we can't make it happen.
That is good stuff.
Yeah, pretty positive outlook.
That's fairly dialed in.
Yeah, positive outlook for good reason.
Yeah.
He has got a solid plan together and a lot of places to hit. That may be key to who does the best on this third day, maybe the fourth day as well. Scott Canterbury in third place. Chad Pipkins from Michigan moving up into second place, and still Jamie Hartman on top. But boy, we are a long way from weigh-in time, which is later today around 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and we'll be back with more on the lake.
The DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula is being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
Wherever the trail gets rough and the mud gets deep, you'll find a Toyota Tacoma. It's the best-selling compact pickup in America for 12 years. And it's not because we baby them. If you want to play, you need a Tacoma.
Your time on the water is precious. You return season after season to make unforgettable memories. Fight a few fish, reconnect with friends, and recenter yourself. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters stay with Yamaha for the long run, for life. They know reliability starts here.
If you want to play, you need a Tacoma.
You're watching the DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula, being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
Well, this is only the second event of the regular season for the Bassmaster Elite Series. Obviously, a new schedule has been crafted for obvious reasons. And about a month from now, all of our competitors will head to the Empire State of New York for back-to-back tournaments. Going to get caught up.
Wow, yeah,
Going to get caught up in July. You start at Cayuga Lake in the Finger Lakes region, Union Springs, New York, the fantastic St. Lawrence River, kind of the smallmouth Valhalla, you might call it, just the absolute ultimate destination for smallmouth. And then we go to Lake Champlain. I like to call it the only one of the Great Lakes that's not actually a Great Lake, but it has provided us with some great moments.
And you really look at those three lakes, and those are big bodies of water. Not three of the best lakes in New York. Those are three of the best bodies of water in the country.
Doubtless. Back out to Clark Winlet. Spent a lot of time with him
It's
yesterday.
been a total struggle so far. And a lot of what happens is that you kind of get in these lulls, and I'm absolutely in one right now. I've got 2 fish. Neither one of them are great big. But you just got to get past these lulls. I mean, a lot of what I do is, at least in this event, is I came in and I marked as many piles as I can. Well, I don't go fish them all, because if you go fish every one of them, you don't have time to find enough. You know, we've got 3 days practice, so a lot of these are, you know, there's something there that I marked, but you know, it's not like grand brush pile that, you know. And so you'll go through little streaks where, you know, you just got little bitty, like, you know, a couple stumps together, or an old brush pile that just doesn't have any brush, you know, really sticking up anymore. And so I found quite a bit of that stuff, and I marked just about all of it. And so you know, a lot of it I've not fished. And so, you know, I've just kind of been on a bad roll here, but it's going to turn around, so.
Well, yesterday when I saw a lot of guys searching, experimenting, looking to expand their territory, Clark Wendlandt had both hands firmly on the wheel all day long, and it was a pleasure to watch.
Exactly right. And really, we talked about it earlier this morning. He said one of the keys in this event is a way that he has lost on this lake in years past. Clark Wendlandt is one of the best shallow water anglers in the world.
Yeah.
And every time he's come here, he's been drawn up shallow. So, well, this time around, he was going to commit to fishing offshore, find as many of those brush piles. He said the number one key for anybody that's following this at home, that's a hardcore bass fisherman that goes to Lake Eufaula, don't sit on a brush pile for a half hour, 45 minutes. You throw at it 5 to 8 times, and you move to the next. And by the end of the day, you will have fished 50 to 70 brush piles.
In this tournament was more or less to fish offshore. I tried shallow. I like shallow better. I mean, I'd rather fish shallow for sure. But the electronics we got today make it where even a guy, you know, like when I used to have to fish offshore and just kind of feel my way around out there in 20 foot, electronics weren't all that good. That was tough. I mean, I struggled with that. With the electronics we got today, I really know what's there. And one thing that I've done that has made a huge difference is I've just really acquainted myself with my electronics really well. I just spend a lot of time looking at brush piles, looking at trees, looking at what fish look like, getting on a school of fish that, you know, and then going and looking at it and seeing what it looks like on my electronics, because your electronics are, I mean, you've got to know what you're looking at. And no matter what electronics you got to know what your electronics are showing you. And a lot of that's time on the water. You get on the water and you spend time, you know, looking at that, at what fish are, what brush is, what a dock looks like, all on your electronics, and you can go a long way into helping yourself somewhere. All of it's tools for us. You know, I've got live scope that looks out in front of us, side view looks out to the side, great mapping of the whole lake, and traditional sonar and clear view look down. But it's all, like, for us, it's just all a tool. And, you know, used to be years ago, guys would just specialize in something. Denny Breyer and Tommy Biffle would be flippers, and David Fritz was a great cranker. And, you know, there's different, Shaw Grigsby and Guido Hibden are, you know, like sight fishing. I mean, it doesn't work that way anymore. Today's, you know, the pros of today can do everything. And
Clark Wendlandt giving some good, a veteran guy who keeps up with the tech, and that's
good teacher.
That's
really is.
Oh man, absolutely explains it perfectly, and we'll keep our eyes on Clark Wendlandt all day long. Of course, one of the big jobs we have today is just keeping up with the movement up and down the leaderboard, of which there is plenty and will be plenty all the way until the end of the tournament. One of the names that stands out as we look at big moves today is
maybe they're going to go to half-hour bites.
This guy took that top spot early on and still hanging on.
And Jamie Hartman's he has not caught as many fish as he caught yesterday, but there's a lot better quality here so far today. You'll notice him switching up, getting a little more finessey after he throws all his big power baits, big worms in the morning.
He's taking over first from 12th place this morning. Lee Livesey is having a good day from 28th to 6th place right now.
Started his tournament in 7th after day one, Livesey did. Dropped back yesterday.
Good fall.
Oh, he might keep. We shall see. Oh, he's long.
First keeper for the rookie from Wisconsin.
Had fallen to 30th place from 5th.
In 2.5 hours of fishing.
Oh, it doesn't take long.
That is humbling.
We've seen 40 position moves in 15 minutes out here during the course of this week. Let's get back over to Jake Whittaker.
Oh, you want to see this happen.
This is textbook little spot right here, but perfect dock, textbook grass. It's probably just been fished too much. If anybody wants to know which docks to choose to fish, pick the ones that look like that. Oldest, nastiest crap growing everywhere. Those are the best docks.
Time to mow the dock.
Yeah. We're gonna go get a haircut for the dock.
You're talking about cup haul dropping way down in just 2 hours. Whittaker was in 56th yesterday after like 3 hours and moved back into the top 5 immediately with some catches. So
yeah, he did a lot of this yesterday to make that move, to engineer that move. That was earlier today.
And one of the things he said is he has pushed his areas. He said, look, days 1 and 2 were very unexpected. Ron Moore talked about that a lot. He said, I just got to go do what I'm good at. Throwing a frog, flipping docks, fishing shallow. But the great thing is, he said, the majority of my action where I make hay is from mid-morning until weigh-in.
Jake Whittaker having a great season, obviously, as he starts the day as our Angler of the Year points leader.
Yes.
That means he had a good tournament down at the St. Johns River, and boy, did he ever. We saw him go to work bringing out big ones like that out of the system of canals, for the most part.
And it was eerily similar in that tournament to this tournament with Jake Whittaker, where he kind of maximizes what's in front of him. It's not like he had a gazillion canals to fish there. I think he made the most of 2 in that tournament. He really said that this tournament's very similar. I'm not fishing the entire lake. I'm fishing down near the dam, short pockets off of the main lake, and I have caught what's in front of me so far. He did say some stuff about you, Ron Moore. He really did.
I can't wait.
You ready?
We need to roll that out.
From what I understand, he stood up at your wedding. You're standing up at his wedding in August.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, I'm going to tell you, he said, I love Ron Moore, but boy, you if you're going to talk to Ronnie on the phone, you had better have an hour or 2. You just have a spare hour or 2.
Hey, it's hard to decipher what is Bassmaster Live and what is a normal conversation. We talk for 6 hours on here, so that's every conversation I expect to draw it out a little longer than I need to.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's too early to say that Jake Whittaker also has, as you pointed out for us, unicycle skills.
He does. Not a great basketball player, though.
He's a good unicycle.
His fiance kills him on the basketball court.
Elementary school unicycle team. That was odd.
So Whittaker said yesterday on the phone that he caught one on his last cast, a 3+ pounder.
Fall again, and this one might be a little better. Oh, yeah.
Buffalo with a good one.
Not bad. Good stop.
Like that.
Wisconsin guy who really wore him out on the BassPro.com Circuit Central Division last year to get into the Elite Series, and also gain entry to the Classic, where he finished in the very respectably top 20.
It was really interesting listening to him last night. Our day 1 leader, Bill Lowen, said one of the biggest keys on this shallow grass is having where, if you look to the right of your screen, wherever that little deeper depression, that deeper water would cut into, that's where the bigger bites have come shallow throughout this week.
That's his second one in this stretch that he's
Yeah,
caught, right?
yeah.
After he went from buzz baiting earlier with one keeper, and then he's caught 2 here flipping.
Might get him back near the top 10.
So there's been a fish on this point the last 2 days. Pulled up here on the first day and caught one of my very first flip. It was the only one here. And then yesterday I pulled in here. I started on this little point in the grass up here. Very first flip I caught a 4-pounder. And then today it's got 2 fish. Definitely a fish I like.
All right, we took a look at the Caleb first thing today. Doing something a little bit different. Buzzbait out there. Good early fish.
Number 1.
Started the day in 5th place. Had a great day. 22 plus.
And that's one of the amazing things about this tournament that you don't see this time of year. We can't stress this enough. A lot of these guys that are fishing shallow, you heard it right there. Their areas reloading, and not only that, reloading with good ones.
Well, you can make an argument for either philosophy of fishing this incredible fishery, Lake Eufaula. Jamie Hartman, Chad Pipkin, Scott Canterbury would probably argue in favor of offshore a little bit right now, although we saw Scott catch a good one up shallow, and we'll see a lot more of that as we move on through the morning. We were really just getting out of the first couple of hours of fishing here, those 2.5 hours or so. Matt Airy, the leader, down in 4th place, but lots of changes still to come.
The DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula is being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
Skeeter, is it still setting the standard? Let's see. First bass boat, first U.S. Coast Guard approved bass boat, first V-hull pad design, largest owners tournament, great fish and win program, first sponsored whole capacity concept, first production composite bass boat. Yeah, way too much for 30 seconds. And 18 consecutive CSI awards. Now we have introduced the FX Apex series, a fully featured boat with so many standard options, leaving nothing left to desire. So yes, we are still setting the standard. Skeeter.
The season is starting and it's time for you to bring it. Pit your knowledge against friends and fans everywhere in Rapala Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing. It's free and it starts by signing up. Then pick your 5-angler team for each event. Grand prize winner gets a Bass Pro Shop shopping spree, cash, and Rapala prize pack. Plus new opportunities including $4,000 worth of prizes for each individual event winner. Plus another $500 if you're a Bass member. Total value for the season is $90,000. Sign up today and start bringing it at BassmasterFantasy.com.
The DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula is brought to you by Humminbird, Mercury, Minn Kota, and by Talon.
Well, take note, Saturday we'll have another UFC fight night from the Apex in Las Vegas. Number 1 ranked flyweight Jessica Ai takes on Cynthia Calvillo, who moves up to 125 pounds in our main event. Main card starts at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, with the prelims at 6 Eastern and 3 Pacific on ESPN+.
Tell me, who do you have in that?
I haven't researched it yet. Going to take a good long look at it today.
Big on Koval
You
right
may
now.
want to listen to Zona because he was
Yeah,
correct.
we haven't talked about, we have not spoke at all about the Magdaleno.
I didn't know we were going to. Okay,
fight last
all right,
night.
yeah, we'll get to that.
Exactly. We'll get there.
We'll get that.
We'll get there.
A little bit later.
Let's just say I'm 1-0.
Noted. Back out to Clark Win.
Exactly. So awkward.
Things might be starting to happen. Keith Combs with a 4-pounder.
That's a good one. That's a little more what we need. It's over 3, but just a little bit. 3 1/4 maybe.
It's just slow and steady what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. He said he was in the middle of a little slow spot. Nice way to come out of it. That fish had a little bit of heft to it. It's Koval again.
Wow.
Woo! That's a good one. Look at that jig. He wanted that one. Golly. Drop my power poles here. Tails. That's a good one there. Love it. All right. Whew, that was a big one. We're gonna take this a little bit further, I think. Oh yeah.
Fourth fish for Koval. Boy, he is working this place over. He is not moving fast.
That how he got his 22 pounds, 2 ounces yesterday? Doing exact
same thing. It's been a buzzbait and a homemade jig.
I mean, he's 18-12 on day one, wasn't that bad, but 22-2 is one of our bigger bags yesterday.
Caleb started the day in
the tournament.
5th place. Strength of that 22-2 yesterday.
Yeah, we're over here. We've run out, changed from shallow back to deep, fishing a few brush piles, and see if we can catch us a few quality keepers out of some brush. We'll bounce back and forth, in and out, but I want to try some of this brush right now, see what's going on in it. Some of these I've fished, some of them I haven't. I fished this one, caught a 4-pounder in this one yesterday.
Taking a look at roommates, Matt Airy, Scott Canterbury. You can tell they share quite a bit of info as far as how they're catching them throughout a tournament. Every tournament that we cover, they share lots. And the other side, like we talked to Scott Canterbury yesterday, who's been fishing offshore the whole tournament. I said, man, I said, what's the plan for tomorrow?
The great thing about spot lock.
It's the same thing. But I might go up and throw a frog a little bit. I said, wow, have you done that this term? He said, no, but my roommate has, and he's in the lead.
That's nice to have two brains working on it. They say they talk and practice several times a day, break it down that night, and figuring things out together has its advantages, getting little tips of what's going on.
Two brains that are frighteningly good at fishing.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is if you really watched last year covering Matt Airy and Scott Canterbury, there are virtually no holes in their game. Jake Whittaker hooked up.
They finished.
Dock up here's got a brush pile under it. I lost a good one out of it yesterday, so hopefully there's another one.
Bass have to be 14 inches here to keep. Right. Largemouth and spotted bass, that one was not 14, so it was thrown back immediately.
Beautiful late spring day here, just Chamber of Commerce weather.
When somebody's watching and their motor's cranked up.
I'm sorry, but guess who? Brandon Lester's weights just came in. He's got a 6-pounder, 2 4.5s, 22 pounds, 15 ounces on the day.
Wow.
And he's your new leader.
I guess. Oh,
yeah.
My gosh.
Looks like he finally found his big ones. He's only had 19 pounds and 17 pounds the last few days. He finally got his big ones today.
You know we haven't had all day?
What's that? Oh,
yeah.
He was 27th to start today.
TH Marine Weather Watch for you right here. Say, yeah, perfect. Sunny, 81 degrees. Was hot and humid very first day. A little front came through, cleared all that out, and the past 2 days have been a little bit more comfortable physically.
We were talking about it. Now that we've had 2 days under our belt of full field competition, you can kind of compare them. Obviously, days out on the lake are always different with weather and whatnot, anglers making decisions and different things like that. But here are our biggest bags of the week so far. They're pretty similar. There's only a couple from yesterday. That's how we can tell there's a drop-off. 7 of the top 10 biggest bags came from day 1. Only 3 came from day 2, but Matt Airy's 22.15 obviously is a reason why he's our day 2 leader. And when you compare the days side by side, the average fish didn't drop off much. 3 pounds 5 ounces on day 1 to 3 pounds 1 ounce yesterday. Big bass actually went up. Zaldane catching that 7.5 on Bassmaster Live for folks watching in. That was the biggest bass of the tournament so far. And the cut weight, we talk about will it double and go down? Will it double and go up? Yesterday, it did not go up. It dropped a couple pounds, a little lower than we thought. It was only 31.10 to make the cut. We thought it would be closer to 33. 20-pound limits, they dropped off from 15 to 10. And but what hasn't dropped off is the social media. A lot of people joining in. For the first time, some people haven't watched Bassmaster on ESPN before, and they're enjoying the coverage. Some of them are getting used to it, but join the conversation.
Getting used to
Hashtag
it.
Bass Live on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's been good. It's been fun.
Finally getting to where they can take it.
That is the best life ever, right?
Good stuff. We're on more.
Used to it, you know?
Not too early to start, guys. Start thinking about a cut weight for today. What do you think that's going to be? Top 10, 55, 56, something like that, maybe?
I would say that. I would say mid to high 50s.
Brandon Lester, the big move. Just his weights just now came across the board, and he is doing great out there. We'll try to run that down for you.
The DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula is being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
I'm pro angler Andy Montgomery. I've been making my living with Strike King products for a long time. So when they showed me the new Tour Grade line, I was all in. I knew I could trust it. What I didn't know was how easy it was to use. With the spooling tool and the prepaid envelope to recycle your old line included in every single box. Not only is it the best line on the market, it gives you the easiest fishing experience possible. Find out more at StrikeKing.com.
I can vividly remember back when I was a kid and, searching for information. And it was so much work and it was such a struggle to get that knowledge, to get that information.
We talked about the equipment, we talked about the bait, we talked about how to pick it apart.
It's highly detailed, specific information from A to Z to help you learn, get to the water, and become a better angler quickly. That's what the Bass University is all about.
In the wild, nature dictates that when it's time to eat, animals will instinctively find and devour the meal that satisfies them most. In the water, Berkeley Powerbait's scientifically proven formula triggers the natural predatory instinct in bass. Now available in a plethora of shapes, sizes, and colors. Berkeley Powerbait. Fish bite and won't let go.
You're watching the DeWalt's Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula, being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
Boy, 8 hours of fishing may seem like a long time, but it's going by very, very fast. We're already well into our third hour of fishing here on this very important day number 3. Day number 3, you got to be in the top 10. If you want to move on to championship day on Saturday, what's the cut line going to be? Well, right now, Texas angler Lee Livesey sits atop of that at just under 50 pounds, but we expect that number to get up and past the mid-50s maybe even.
I would say
today.
that you're going to have to approach that 57-pound, 57-pound mark to be with us here on Championship Saturday.
40 total anglers out there trying to make that top 10. Let's take a look at what we've seen so far this week. This is obviously day number 1. Looks different on the lake, but boy, did we start out with a bang and Chris Zaldane.
I think every one of these was one of our powerful replays of the day, each day of this tournament, and it almost seems like, boy, to compete in this tournament, some way, shape, or form, you have to get that 5-pound mark. If you get 1 or 2 of those a day, you will be with us near the end.
Chris Zaldane has taken care of that part of his work very handily both days. This is how we started yesterday.
7-pounder, literally the first 30 minutes of competition.
That's a big old Eufaula bass right there.
Day 1 big bass. It's Mike Huff.
Do you think he caught that one shallow?
Yeah, I think
If you
so.
look at that bass right there,
Yeah, he's got a
very,
full-
very darkened cover.
Full suntan.
But this morning, big shot from Scott Canterbury. Every day we've had 1 or 2 big ones early in competition. Boy, this lake has shown out.
And it's just been tremendous. We didn't know exactly what to expect because the Bassmaster Elite Series has never been here in its 15 years of existence, and I'll say they'll be back.
And we're on a lake right here that has been incredibly pressured the last month.
Getting some fishing line out of the lake, but had a little school going there, and they're not big, but they're keepers. A couple of them was keepers.
Got what's got Canterbury fairly early. Big finish for him yesterday. Big day for him, starting the day in third place. Gets out there very early, gets his frog out. This happens.
Get in here.
Solid 3.5
That's worth getting it out.
Started off shallow. Did that for about
super
45 minutes and then went to his primary pattern. 10-inch worm fishing offshore.
He's by far been the one that made the most moves. He started on a ledge and then he went shallow, caught that frogfish. Then he came right back out and he's been testing both waters within. I guess he's got some places just in the vicinity that he's checking.
I think somewhere through the day, too, if you follow the Bassmasters, he's going to mix in. We listened to him closely yesterday. He's going to mix in some docks throughout this day. Boy, you talk about the one word we've heard is timing on Lake Eufaula, having your right time, knowing when to go shallow, when to go deep. A lot of guys have tried to make that work that are not with us today, that are on their way home. Guys like Scott Canterbury, Matt Airy, who've utilized both, still in the game.
Canterbury started in third, and now he's up in second place. That is uncommonly steady for this tournament, considering how people move up and down the leaderboard.
And that's one thing that Canterbury talked about. You said the docks midday. That might be one reason why some of those shallow guys really excel when everything else dies off. Him on docks, Whittaker's mixed in a jig on docks as well. Maybe that shade or the sun positioning has been a great midday portion when everything else dies offshore.
Multiple Alabama guys here on Lake Eufaula in Alabama in the top 10 currently.
One of our favorites right here.
Absolutely. Always want to see what's going on with Clint Davis. So we have a B&W on the line opportunity with Clint. And Clint, catch us up to date. Limit the boat. That's good, right?
Yeah, I mean, caught a pile of fish this morning. One big bite. Of course, I lost it for some reason. But it's right now is the time to be catching them. I feel like for me, every day after about 11 or 12, my chances of catching a big one are slim to none. So it's time to make a move here in the next 2 hours, or I guess I'll be sitting at the camper tomorrow watching somebody else fishing the top 10.
Clint, if you can, kind of walk us through the first 2 days. Has it looked a lot better on paper where you've had to kind of claw and scratch throughout this tournament, or have you caught a lot of fish?
I've caught a lot of fish. Yesterday I had an hour that was probably the best hour I've ever, may have been best day I've ever had on this lake, man. And for some reason I lost every one of them, and it was kind of scary, honestly. But I went on and the rest of the day caught them pretty good, put all them in the boat. But yeah, the fishing's been phenomenal to me.
Clint, it's like you said, you got to get it done today or sit on the bank tomorrow. So is there anything in the back of your mind that you haven't tried that you might just give a throw this afternoon if things shut down?
No, I've probably got another, I don't know, few hundred brush piles that I haven't fished this week. There's more laying around out here than I can possibly touch today or the next 3 or 4 days. So I'm just gonna keep doing my deal, dragging a big worm, throwing a swim bait over the top, and hey, if they bite, we'll be going fishing tomorrow.
Thanks so much, Clint. We appreciate you spending just a few minutes with us right there. Clint Davis of Alabama, Montevallo, great college career there at the Montevallo College. Montevallo University, is it?
Yep,
University.
Montevallo University.
Yeah. One of the guys we love to watch out there.
That's our guy this week, Tommy. That was your pick.
Right.
One
He
to
was
watch.
my pick, yeah.
And I put him on my fantasy team before the event, so yeah.
Doing good with Clint.
No pressure.
You see Clark just staring at those electronics. Every cast he's making, very precise into those brush piles. It's staggering to imagine, if you don't follow bass fishing, how much underwater timber and wood is in this lake. Hearing Clint right there say, I couldn't fish all the brush piles I wanted to fish the next 3 or 4 days.
And not all of it's brush pile. I mean, there's old timber there. It's not as old as these Tennessee River lakes. It's just impounded in the 60s. So there's going to be, like you find at places like Toledo Bend, a lot of the original timber still laying there. Kyle Monty gaining a little traction today, moving back up in the top 6. Gave us some great moments yesterday, probably a couple of most visually exciting fish catches we had during the course of the day, and we had plenty.
Understand our eyes on the water. Davey Height just getting to Brandon Lester right now.
If we can figure out what's going on with Brandon, is his big limit of almost 23 pounds unofficially, according to Bass Track, came in all at once.
Had a blog say he was going out ledge fishing, and he was very confident this morning at the dock taking off.
He had caught 40 to 50 fish on day 1, 30 to 40 fish yesterday, by far lapping the field when it comes to quantity. He just hadn't found that above average fish to really separate him, and that's why he's not in the top 10 coming into today, and that he's down in 27th place.
Boy, looking at our Bass Track where our anglers give us an estimate of their weight, and the computer program adds it up and calls it out. He's got a 3.2 at 650 this morning, a 5-pound, 2-ounce fish at 748. 2 minutes later, 6.1, and then 2.45 is about a half hour later, within 40 minutes, 19 pounds.
Again, Matt Airy, almost 23 pounds yesterday. Started the day with the lead. He's been passed by the likes of Lester, Hartman, Canterbury, and Chad Pipkins. Doesn't take much to get back on top, though, and Matt knows that. We all know that. We're going to see what happens.
How many lead changes have we had today thus far? Such?
Just a handful.
Boy, I would say
4.
Maybe
I would say more
11,
today.
Maybe like 11.
With only 40 guys left.
Baker's dozen, let's call it that. Brandon Lester on top, and we'll try to get to him with Davey Height when we come back here on Bassmaster
Live.
The DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula is being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
While I travel the country on the Bassmaster Elite Series, I simply can't let the weather be the reason I don't win $100,000. That's why I use AFCO clothing to keep me warm, dry, and protected from whatever Mother Nature wants to throw at me. My season depends on it. My career depends on it. AFCO, any fish, any water.
If you love bass fishing, then show your support by joining B.A.S.S. today. With your membership, you'll receive every issue of Bassmaster magazine, plus $50 in free gear, including a membership tackle bag, B.A.S.S. cap, plus more. Click now on this video to join today.
When I'm on the road for work or for fun, I always like to have a reliable generator around. This open frame inverter from Champlain is ideal because it's lighter than a standard open frame generator and more affordable than a traditional inverter. The remote start helps me start up the generator or shut it off without having to leave my camper. It provides essential power for things like charging my boat batteries, also makes life a lot more comfortable for myself and my family.
What do a taco and a taco truck have in common? Nothing. If you want to play, you need a Tacoma.
Groundbreaking designs, unsurpassed quality, and unshakable confidence. Welcome to the Ranger Z500 and Z100 series. Leading the industry for over 50 years, these rigs are custom crafted and loaded with more features and advantages to deliver the ultimate ownership experience. The legendary Ranger Z series. Unleash next level performance. Mercury, go boldly.
You're watching the DeWalt's Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula, being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
Where there are 40 anglers out there on the water on Lake Eufaula, do or die day for those guys, be among the top 10, or head on down the road after today. Tomorrow, the championship round. Final action starts here on ESPN at noon tomorrow. Now, that's going to be fun. Of course, if you want to see more action, it's going to be starting at 8 a.m. on the app, so you can go ahead and put together a whole day of championship Saturday, the DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula. Brandon Lester, Tennessee angler who's come so close. He's just almost locked down a couple of victories during his career. Seems to get better and better every year. He's assumed the lead. There's our cut line right now, which would include Texas angler Lee Livesey, Koval, Drew Benton, Wendlandt. Spent some time with several of those today.
What's it going to take, weight-wise, to be in the top 10 for tomorrow's championship?
56.9.
56.9?
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't. Somewhere around that region. What would you say?
I absolutely agree. I'm going to say closer to. I'm going to say closer to 58.
39.9 was the cut for the top 10 after yesterday. So you would need about 17 pounds for whoever comes in 10th to make that.
Well, what we're seeing today could work out that way. Clark Wendlandt, one of those who now needs to.
You know, when I was practicing, I got into some stretches because I'd fish, you know, every 5th, every 8th, every other brush pile. And I'd get into these stretches where I just wouldn't get any bites. And a lot of times you start wondering, well, you know, I mean, it really made me second guess my pattern a lot of the time because I'm like, heck, these are the exact right kinds. I mean, they look perfect. Why can I not get a bite on it? And I mean, you know, it could be a bad rotation. Somebody fished this one a minute ago, but more than likely not. It's just, they're just not biting very good, I don't think. And I mean, the majority of my day to day, I have not repeated water that I've fished in the tournament. Yeah, maybe about half and half. And got 3 fish. They're all decent fish, but none of them are big. And so, you know, I'm just sitting out here grinding. I caught a nice one a minute ago that was, you know, 3 1/4, and I'm gonna fish. My goal is fish as many brush piles as I can in a day and let the chips fall where they may.
Well, I'll bet you we see him on some of the water that he was on yesterday.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
Yes.
Caught a phenomenal amount of fish first 2 days, but as Ronnie pointed out, you looked at the figures on the leaderboard. The only guy who was catching more was this guy, and a lot more. Brandon Lester. Brandon Lester now has converted those big numbers into a lead right now. Davey Height, any clue as to what's going on with Brandon out there today? His size seems to have gone up.
What? Yeah, we were with Jamie Hartman, and his bite had slowed down, and just when you were starting to think, man, the shallow water guys are going to win this thing, Brandon Lester is lighting them up. I mean, lighting them up. Traditional offshore. He's on a roadbed here at Lake Eufaula. I saw him fish here the last 2 days, several other boats fishing here also, but he idled across it about an hour ago, and he said he told his marshal, I'm about to light him up. And he caught his first one on a worm, and then he said he picked up a crankbait and caught fish every single cast. Here's something really cool. If Ashley could shoot right over here, you see the boat. Well, that's spectators, but it's not just any spectators. That's Brandon Lester's wife and his daughter, and every time Brandon sets the hook, she screams, go, Daddy, go. So first day they've been out here with Brandon, so I guess they brought him some good luck. But he's lighting them up. He's caught 4 or 5 fish since I've been with him just in the last 5 minutes.
Explain real quick for a viewer at home when he made the comment to his marshal, his cameraman, and said, "Get ready, I'm getting ready to light them up." What did he see?
Well, this is a big roadbed. You know, it stretches out for miles. And there's key areas on the roadbed that have irregularities and that sort of thing. And the fish have been, that's why offshore bite has not really been consistent. We've been seeing guys light them up in the morning a little bit, like Jamie Hartman. But you could tell, and we've talked, I've heard Clark talk a lot so well about the electronics and finding the brush piles and that sort of thing. Well, you can also see those fish, and we see those fish positioned, not scattered, but in a group, positioned right on that perfect cover. You know you're going to get them to bite. And very few people that I've seen this week have been able to catch them on a crankbait because they're just so scattered and not real aggressive on these offshore places. But when you see them grouped up and positioned just right with your electronics, you can catch them. And he knew that. He just threw that worm out because he'd been catching a lot of his fish on a worm. But once he caught that first one and got them fired up, we like to say, then he picked up a crankbait and just started catching them every single cast. So seeing how those fish are positioned on this offshore cover is so, so important. You basically know when you're going to be able to catch them, or you're just going to have to try to milk with a drop shot or a worm, that sort of thing. And Brandon Lester is definitely lighting them up better than anybody I've seen so far this week.
Well, Davey, thanks so much for jumping on that so fast and putting together that report and breaking it down for us so well. Brandon Lester, all his big numbers came across a good bit after the fact, but man, oh man, is he taking a great lead here with just shy of 60 pounds.
Big noise from this guy right here, 2019 Angler of the Year.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, giant.
That was a big move for Scott Canterbury right there. And let's get back live. Our second place angler, defending Angler of the Year champion.
There he is. That one ain't, that's a good one. It's a big one. A big one.
Wow.
That'll get rid of a little bitty one.
Suckers are long, aren't
Yeah.
Well, Brandon Lester had maybe the biggest lead of the tournament. Didn't last long.
Did not.
No.
No. But if you've been with us this week and watched how this tournament has transpired, the usual suspects on the Bassmaster Elite Series are starting to widen the gap here a little bit. Big one for Scott Canterbury.
And I'm culling. Got all day.
Already with a 5-pounder in the boat. And
yeah. You know, like I said, I got a bunch of brush piles marked and stuff, and this brush pile I caught a couple out of the first day. So we're running down the lake, and I pull in. First cast to hit the brush, I miss one. Bites the tail of my worm off. I pick up another rod instead of fooling with it and throw right back in as quick as I could. I had 2 worms rigged up. Threw right back in the exact same spot and caught a 4-pounder. So, you know, I think a lot of times when they're excited, you need to get a bait back in there. That's why I rig 2 of them up all the time, just so I'll have, you know, another one to put back in there. Like if you catch one, it frays your line up or whatever, you can just pick up another rod and throw right back in there. A lot more efficient that way. I sat here when I stopped, and I retied every one of my rods. I cut off my baits and retied every one of them, so I was ready. It just worked out that time that it worked out. All right.
Scott Canterbury, another little tip for if you want to be a big-time player out here.
Scott was one of the guys that we have not seen a lot of deep cranking in this tournament. Davey Height said Brandon Lester lit him up with a deep crankbait. Day one, Scott Canterbury said almost everyone he put on the scale did come cranking, but he said somehow they just got off of it on day 2 where the worm come into play.
Brandon Lester, interesting to see he's keying on something different than a brush pile or some sort of submerged timber. Road beds are notorious for holding fish, and Davey said that's a substantial road bed going way out there.
Another small one. 2.5, 2 3/4. It's full of them in there.
In the boat there with Brandon Lester, that's a good sign. We'll get to see him in action, up close and personal here as we continue throughout our morning session here. Been in the boat all morning. Scott Canterbury cutting that deficit. Brandon Lester, as we said, got himself off to a good lead, and Canterbury took care of that quick.
You are an old school bass fishing, Texas rig, big plastic worm fisherman. Like, this tournament's turning into a complete throwback minus the electronics.
Yeah, boy, 10-inch worm on a road bed, middle of summer. How sweet.
Exactly.
How classic is that? Some great stuff going on right now. If you're not familiar with bass fishing, you should watch these guys because they will execute it perfectly. Brandon Lester on top for the first time in this tournament. Scott Canterbury, defending Angler of the Year champion, giving chase here. Jamie Hartman, who started the day with the lead, has fallen down, and we'll be back with more from Eufaula on Bassmaster Live.
The DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula is being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
What do a taco and a taco truck have in common? Nothing. If you want to play, you need a Tacoma.
Your time on the water is precious. You return season after season to make unforgettable memories. Fight a few fish, reconnect with friends, and recenter yourself. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters stay with Yamaha for the long run, for life. They know reliability starts here.
Pre-collision system, standard, on the 2020 Tacoma, so you can go from one epic playground to the next. If you want to play, you need a Tacoma.
You're watching the DeWalt's Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula, being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
Big time bass fishing from Alabama. Had the Classic here last year, but we are moving to Texas for only the third time in Classic history for the 2021 World Championship, the Bassmaster Classic. Fort Worth, Texas. It's going to be our host city, and Lake Ray Roberts on the Trinity River. We're going to provide the big bass action. Huge expectations for this tournament, a great facility there, the Dickies Arena, brand new. They're close to Texas Christian University, and just a big sports town, just a great town in general. It's going to be a perfect spot to stage this very important, well, the single most important tournament in the sport of fishing. There's a Classic, and there's everything else. Get down to the state of Texas. Yeah, let's go to North Texas there. Fort Worth on the old Chisholm Trail, sort of the gateway to the West traditionally, and a lot of Western tradition there, and Lake Ray Roberts, that's what it looks like.
Potential some really, really big ones that time of year in
Texas is
Texas.
just all about big bass. You know, you think about the Sherlunker program, that great facility in Athens, Texas, all about bass. They're dedicated. They do it right down in the Lone Star State, and we just can't wait to get there to do a championship. Talk about big bass now. Scott Canterbury showing us a little what's in Lake Eufaula. Some good ones. Well, how has he done it? How has he found the big ones?
That's the kind we're after right there.
Yeah, he's going to give us our AFTCO Taste the Bait. Talk about some of these old school and what other methods he's been utilizing through the course of this championship.
The two best baits that I've been throwing, and I changed a little bit. I've been throwing a half and a 5/8 ounce jig with a pocket crawl on it. But a lot of my fish this week have came on, or most of my fish up until today have came on a red bug, 11-inch C-Mac worm with a 3/8 weight. Wasn't going to be much wind today. I put this rod, it's a Canterbury signature rod from Halo. I got a 5/16 on it, so I downsized my weight and I put a plum apple on there. A little bit darker. I don't know if it's making a difference, but they're liking it pretty good. So that's the bait that I've been throwing the most. That's my confidence. But like I said, I've caught them on a variety of lures, but my first cast every time on a place is that big worm, 11-inch C-Mac. Just because, I mean, the first cast into a place, it seems like to me has been like I've caught my biggest ones every day on my first cast in. I mean, if you can put it where it needs to be, it don't matter if there's 5 fish there and you catch 5 of them. Most of the time, the big one has been the first one I catch.
Good stuff from all of these guys. Have been getting some great stuff. You know, this is the time of year when, in a normal year, people would be planning their vacations, taking the family fishing, stuff like that, and still are in many cases. We're getting how to catch them this time of year. That's some solid information all day long, all 3 days.
Really fishing almost the exact same way right here is Clark Wendelet.
Not a good one, but I think he'll keep.
Biggin.
That airy.
Biggin. I mean a biggin. God. God, that's my horn. It scared me to death. Leaned on my horn, I thought the fish was gonna eat me. I thought it was one of them Lake Eufaula gators coming out or something. Scared me to death. That's a first. That's a much better quality fish. I thought it was going to be a lot bigger, but that's headed in the right direction.
Okay. I got to see that. He scared the fire out of himself right there.
Me too.
Exactly. Did he say he thought it was a Lake Eufaula gator slounge?
Yeah, one of those big gator slounge.
God, that's my horn. Scared me to death.
The best was where he pulled back.
Leaned on my horn, I thought the fish was going to eat me.
I thought he was rolling out kind of a new signature yell or something like that when you catch a big one.
Harpo Marks catch or
Scared me to
something.
death. That's a first. That's a much better quality fish. I thought it was going to be a lot bigger.
Good solid 3-pound plus right there for Matt Airy, who started the day with the lead. And we look at the top three guys, something you brought out the start of every day, Mark Zona. You've got to have that 5-pounder. Lester, Canterbury, Hartman, 1, 2, 3, each got a 5+ in the boat.
I had to make sure my pump, something sounded like it was, I turned all kinds of stuff on. That's what happened. When I leaned on that horn, I turned my manual pump on, I turned A1 on.
Give me a little horn.
You want a little horn again? That sucker's loud, ain't it? I was ready that time, though. It didn't scare me as bad.
Back there with our leader now on the right, Brandon Lester, Tennessee angler.
Can't tell if it's big or not. No, it's not big. It's a healthy one though. Be a big one one day.
Lester's smallest fish is a 3-pound 2-ouncer.
Yeah, it's going to be curious to see how long he sits on this spot and burns on it. You know, these are fish that tomorrow, you know, you're going to want some 3-pounders tomorrow to fill your limit out.
For sure, and he's probably also thinking, hey, I'm in 27th place. I've got to make up enough ground today, because if I hold off too much,
I didn't try to put a ton
I might
of
not be able to
pressure
catch
on
up
it 'cause I
tomorrow.
didn't wanna-
There's 8 pounds behind the leader.
Lester had a good classic, actually. Had the lead at certain points in the first day and a half or so. Finished
That fish felt a
7th
lot
place.
bigger. He was hooked in the corner of the mouth, so he just felt so much bigger than he was. He had all of his leverage against me. For a minute there, I couldn't do nothing with him because he was down in that brush. I'm glad he decided to come out.
Interesting note from Davey Height, who's with Brandon Lester right now. He said Brandon Lester is sitting exactly where Keith Combs started the event on day number 1 in the morning. Because Davey Height was with Keith Combs, said it's exactly where Combs started this tournament.
Any clue to what exactly is down there? Besides
just
on the roadbed, the irregularity.
You know.
Well, I'm sure if it's a roadbed, the locals have done their homework and littered that thing with brush
Dressed it up a little bit. Plus, you got bridges, you got culverts,
polished it up.
Old
Yeah, that's what I was
ditches
wondering,
there,
what-
you know. I mean, you got all sorts of
There
stuff.
go Alabama stowed.
A fish stop sign.
What? And that's really what we've seen this week. If you're just tuning in to the Bassmaster Elite Series, is you'll see just massive flurries on this lake where they're biting and biting and biting. Then you'll go into a little bit of a lull and be like, well, that's it for the day. And then it'll just instantly ignite. And what we talked about it a lot at the end of the day yesterday. It seems like when it ignites for every one of the anglers we've been on, generally at the same time.
Getting close to heading into, believe it or not, the fourth hour of competition.
Wow.
There's the leader, Matt Airy, to start the day, having fallen out of the lead.
God, that's my horn.
With a wake-up call
Scared me to death.
from his boat.
Leaned on my horn, I thought the fish gonna eat me. That's what happened. When I leaned on that horn, I turned my manual pump on, I turned A1 on.
Give me a little horn.
You want a little horn again? That sucker's loud, ain't it?
Yeah, it is.
A little bit of excitement there
Yes,
for
it
you.
is.
Take a look at our leaderboard. It's still Brandon Lester with just about 2-pound advantage over Scott Canterbury. Scott Canterbury having a great morning as well. Jamie Hartman off to the quickest start today. Basically in a tie for third place with Matt Airy.
I don't think we've ever had an angler attack himself with a horn.
Not yet.
I don't think we've had. That's a first.
I don't mind it. I can't say I mind it. You're right. It's one of those things that happens out there. What will happen next? We're going to take a break and find out on Bassmaster Live.
The DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula is being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
Groundbreaking designs, unsurpassed quality, and unshakable confidence. Welcome to the Ranger Z500 and Z100 series. Leading the industry for over 50 years, these rigs are custom crafted and loaded with more features and advantages to deliver the ultimate ownership experience. The legendary Ranger Z series. Unleash next level performance. Mercury, go boldly.
Back-to-back domination, unbelievable!
Skeeter, is it still setting the standard? Let's see. First bass boat, first U.S. Coast Guard approved bass boat, first V-Hull pad design, largest owners tournament, great fish and win program, first sponsored whole capacity concept, first production composite bass boat. Yeah, way too much for 30 seconds. And 18 consecutive CSI awards. Now we have introduced the FX Apex series, a fully featured boat with so many standard options, leaving nothing left to desire. So yes, we are still setting the standard. Skeeter.
You're watching the DeWalt's Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula, being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
Program note for you, Saturday, tomorrow, we'll have another UFC fight night from the Apex in Las Vegas. Number 1 ranked flyweight Jessica Ai takes on Cynthia Calvillo, who moves up to 125 pounds. That's in our main event. Main card starts at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, with the prelims on ESPN Plus at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. Definitely want to check that out.
You don't know where you're at on that yet?
Still working on it. Still doing the numbers.
Yep.
Trying to.
I know where I am.
You? Okay. All right.
Cynthia,
We'll roll that out a little
Cynthia
bit.
Calvillo.
Okay.
That's
All
where
right.
I am, and I'll stay there.
Brandon Lester, the man right now. Only the top 10 are going to make it into Championship Saturday. That's tomorrow. Chris Zaldain, who we spent so much time in the boat with during the course of this tournament. Man sitting on top of that cut line, and Clark Wendlandt above him. Brandon Cobb won twice last season on the Bassmaster Elite Series. We have another angler who won twice last season on the Elite Series. We're talking about just 9 events last year. 2 guys won twice, and they are both in our top 10 right now. So it's going to be a very, very interesting weigh-in coming up at 3 p.m. today. Out to Matt Airy.
There's a scary top 10 right now on our unofficial leaderboard.
Absolutely. Matt Airy with 4 fish total. That may have been that was his 5th that he caught, though, right?
That was his 5th.
That was his 5th that we just saw him catch. In contrast, Brandon Lester's caught
best
9
fish.
keepers, Jimmy Hartman 7. We talk about the importance of going through numbers. Brandon Lester caught between 40 and 50 on day 1 keepers, and between 30 and 40 yesterday, so.
We haven't heard from Kyle Welcher in a while since he caught 2 quick ones this morning.
Wow.
But him and Whittaker, I'm just waiting. We got 45 minutes left until it's seemingly the time that they start popping off. Also, I know Welcher was one of those guys doing what Airy's doing, running in, running out, running in, running out, and you can get in a bad rotation, like
Absolutely.
you said, and not be on anything.
That's a very, very hard thing to duplicate.
Been passed by a lot of folks. Welcher has fallen to 27th, and Jake Whittaker's 30th with only 1 fish.
Lester hooked up again.
Guarantee you Brandon Lester's not one of those anglers that went shallow too much during practice or during the event. Got to shoot a show with him a while back, and absolutely a master at fishing offshore. Again, one of those anglers, we talked about it actually earlier in the week. He was a big favorite at our Bassmaster Classic on Lake Gunnersville, and looking for him to seal the deal on one. He's been close so many times.
He's not only great in the elites, he's like a sniper in the opens. Every single time he's in an open, he gets a top 10.
Wow.
And so he's one that'll challenge there as well.
See what a beautiful day today. Tomorrow, let's take a peek with our TH Marine Weather Watch. A little bit warmer, 90 degrees, a little bit, well, pretty much the same temperature. The low at night tonight, partly sunny. Might be a few more clouds bouncing around, and the wind up a little bit at 8 miles an hour.
And one of the factors that we talked about on days 1 and 2 of this tournament is there is a big local event tomorrow, local tournament going on. It's public waterway. But we did hear there's not as many boats in that tournament as we had heard prior. Clark Wendlandt actually talked to the tournament director of that. It's a charity event here on Lake Eufaula. Said there's 60 boats signed up, and this lake can eat up 60 boats easily.
You know where they're launching from?
I do not.
Hunter Shryock making a move, 4-pounder. He had our big move of yesterday, 77th to 33rd.
Huge day yesterday.
Oh, saved a lot of points.
Huge day. That's a potential. Yesterday's for Hunter Shryock is a potential year saver.
Every day is so important. You can, you could have as few as 16 fishing days during the course of the year if you do not make cuts, and that hurts.
That's disappointing. Got my worm.
All four of the anglers you see there started their seasons well, made the cut at the St. Johns River. So
I tweeted that yesterday.
Gaining today.
I tweeted that yesterday, Tommy. I was like, this feels like day 3 of the St. Johns River with Welcher, Canterbury, Erie, Whittaker, Windlet, all on camera. They were all 5 of our 6 guys on camera today that we planned to be with were on camera at the St. Johns. That's why the AOI hunt is everyone's within a point almost.
Sure. Welcher over on the Rookie of the Year, though, he's got a good lead.
Yes, indeed. Caleb Koval doesn't want that to get too far away from him.
He's doing
today.
what he can today, for sure. Oh.
Such kind of scooped my little fantasy fishing bit here at the Screen of Knowledge, talking about Hunter Shryock. He didn't know he was doing it, but Hunter Shryock making the biggest jump yesterday in the standings. It's important for fantasy fishing players. We talked about it yesterday. If you want to win the prizes for each event and overall, you have to have most, if not all of your anglers make it to day 3, make it to the cut day. And these 3 guys really saved their tournament, their Angler of the Year hopes, their classic hopes, and for all the people who picked him, really helped him in fantasy fishing. Hunter Shryock moving from 77th to 33rd yesterday, getting inside the top 40. 8% of the people have picked him in fantasy fishing. Seth Feider jumped from 52nd to 14th. 31% of the people picking him, and Gerald Swindle jumping from 56th to 24th. Those 2 guys, Feider and Swindle, 2 of the top 3 anglers picked in fantasy fishing. So I know a good chunk of the fan base is excited they made the cut. Got to make the top 40 to fish today. Hopefully, for your players, you need to make the top 10 to fish on Saturday, and that is what we're looking at for fantasy fishing. The biggest jumpers saving their tournament, saving a lot of people's teams for sure.
Off the top of your head, Ronnie, do you recall where Jamie Hartman was? His pick percentage was in fantasy this.
I can tell you. I can actually tell you
right
in just a moment.
And I'll throw one more. We're big fantasy football players, Tommy.
Yes, sir.
For years. For years.
Yeah.
You are a multiple title holder as well as
you are.
Such well.
Yeah. You are.
And here's what's interesting is yesterday, Ron Moore, you kind of said a little bit of your strategy is to not go with chalk, not go with a Scott Canterbury, or not to go with a Brandon Lester.
Sure.
Yet they're 1 and 2 in the tournament.
Exactly, I know. But that's see when we talk about Chris Zaldain being so good in this event, but dropping back yesterday, lost points in the standings for over half the people in fantasy fishing. So if you can pick a guy that's owned by 4 or 5% of the world instead of 40% of the world, and they beat him by at least 1 spot, you just gained on 20,000 people a couple points. But it does work out poorly if the guy wins. But to answer your question, Tommy, Jamie Hartman was in bucket A. He did great at the St. John, so he was in that top 15 or 16 of the anglers. And only 2.6% of the people picked him currently. But
I don't see that.
Have you been tweeted by Matthew Berry yet during this ESPN?
I have not. I'm really wanting, I would really like to be interviewed on this topic.
Actually,
I just
got
don't
to meet him.
understand.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Did you really? Guy. Yes, and he's not scared to break it down for an hour with you.
I want to get in Field Yates' mentions as well. He's his fantasy fishing or fantasy football guru with Matthew Berry.
So addicted. Get into the fantasy game. Check it out. Check out the Bassmaster Elite Series and just make yourself part of your own team. Brandon Lester still on top, Canterbury right behind him. Boy, we do have a daunting top 10. We'll see how that changes when we come back.
The DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula is being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
This reel allows you to cover more water, make more casts, giving you more opportunities to catch more fish. The new Revo Rocket. Abu Garcia for life.
I can vividly remember back when I was a kid and, searching for information. And it was so much work and it was such a struggle to get that knowledge, to get that information.
We talked about the equipment, we talked about the bait, we talked about how to pick it apart.
It's highly detailed, specific information from A to Z to help you learn, get to the water, and become a better angler quickly. That's what the Bass University is all about.
I'm pro angler Andy Montgomery. I've been making my living with Strike King products for a long time. So when they showed me the new tour grade line, I was all in. I knew I could trust it. What I didn't know was how easy it was to use. With the spooling tool and the prepaid envelope to recycle your old line included in every single box. Not only is it the best line on the market, it gives you the easiest fishing experience possible. Find out more at StrikeKing.com.
You're watching the DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula, being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
Another half hour left, or maybe even a little less, in our Bassmaster Live presentation this morning. Hey, after this one, it's about a month's time before the tour resumes again. The series goes again, and it's a three-banger. Back to back to back in the Empire State. Such a huge outdoor state. You hear about the big cities, but man, the outdoors is huge in the state of New York. Look at that. We go to Cayuga Lake in the Finger Lakes region. Great fishing there. We move from there to the St. Lawrence River, maybe the world capital, one of the world capitals of smallmouth fishing. And then we go to Lake Champlain. You're a Michigan guy, Zia, but I would say your second favorite state for fishing has got to be New York, right?
Actually, I would probably say I spend more time fishing in New York than I do in Michigan. Taking a look at Cayuga Lake right there, one of the Finger Lakes. And what's amazing about that lake is every single time that we've gone there, you're like, maybe it's not going to be as good as the last time. Almost every tournament we've had there have gone up in weight.
Yes.
And here's what's amazing about Cayuga is some of the biggest largemouth we've had in the state of New York have come off of that lake. From there, you go to the St. Lawrence River, which predominantly was one of the best largemouth fisheries in the state of New York throughout the 80s, 90s, but throughout really the early 2000s, it became one of the best smallmouth bodies of water in the country. From there, we're going to go, as you say, one of the other great lakes, Lake Champlain, and that is a pick your poison. Largemouth, smallmouth, shallow, deep, all around. Three of the best bodies of water. You know what? While we're leaving this, could I do unofficial trivia?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Do you think Field Yates or Matthew Berry ever thought that they would be brought up on a Bassmaster television show on ESPN?
Yeah, I guess
they
that's trivia.
should have been prepped with it because Field Yates tweeted out all of the new sports coming back and their dates, and he left out the Bassmaster Elite Series. So I tweeted at him, and he probably didn't see it, but that's
just
fine.
a typo, I reckon.
Yeah, just figured,
unintentional
that
oversight.
He looked right past it.
No, what? No, surely not. Hey, we found him, Kyle Welcher. Out there, Kyle.
Nice segue, Tommy.
Had a great tournament, a great season so far. Rookie of the Year leader, points race, not by a little, but by a good bit right now. This race is certainly not over by any means, but he struck big in his very first Elite Series event. One of the most memorable fish catches from the St. Johns River. We went down there in late February and got started, and our first look at Kyle Welcher was this, believe it or not.
Big old giant one, dude. Giant one. Come here. Come here. Come here. Let me get my hands on you. Oh my God, dude! Look at that one, baby! Holy crap! What? Woo! What?
Absolute melon head. Right
Oh,
there, boy.
giant. Old
That
Florida.
camera work was done by one of our marshals.
That was the best camera work ever.
Les Cook was his marshal, and then Les Cook is at Eufaula this week being a marshal as well. So he's maybe he'll just travel to all the elites for us.
Best marshal job ever, gotta say that.
Can we go to another one? Then come to us live there. It's gonna be like 1 minute.
Oh, Matt Airy.
That can help a little bit, I think. Might be 2.5. Might be 2.5. We're gonna call that ugly one if he is. No, not 2.5, but he helps. I think we need to call this one. Let's call that ugly one. They were the same weight anyway. Yeah, that's right. They were the same weight, and I'm gonna bank on him surviving a little better. Well, that's the right kind of bite.
Matt Airy turning one loose there. Swim free. The rest of the ones he does eventually bring to the weigh-in will be put in the live release boat and distributed back out into Lake Eufaula after the weigh-in.
That's crucial this time of the year, the way our live release boats work at the deal. That's a big pontoon boat, giant aerated live wells. You put them in there, it gets them stabilized while the whole weigh-in's going on. Then we take them out on the lake where it's deeper water and release them rather than releasing them in a shallow cove where, it might be 90-degree water. They release them out there where it's more mixed in and a
more
consistent
oxygen
level.
out there. Yeah.
Consistent level rather than 2 feet and hot.
Chris Aldane started in 10th. He's up to 6th place right now. He just filled his limit.
Has he got a 5-pounder, Such?
Not today yet. He's got a 4 and a 3, and everything else is small.
I just feel like he'll have one over 5 before the day's over.
Well, he's leading our Phoenix Boats Big Bass with his 7-pound, 5-ouncer yesterday.
Gosh dang it! It got me in that brush pile. There's something, I don't know. This is an old road bed, so it could be anything, really.
Missed opportunity right there for Brandon
But
Lester.
it's a shot in the dark, whether you get him out of there or not.
mentioned Zaldain moving up into the top 10 here. We spent a lot of time with Chris Zaldain, and it's always instructive. We always like having him on because he is such a professor of bass fishing. He explains everything he's doing in great detail. And he also is a penchant for catching big fish, too.
Yeah, and he was not on one of those spots where you got a number of bites. You just caught quality. Got to talk to one of our local friends here that fishes this lake a ton, saying Chris Zaldain's fishing a spot that was really popular about 20 years ago. Well, it'll get popular again after catching a giant yesterday morning, over 7 pounds.
Welcome back, baby. Quarantine is over, and we're catching giants out here on Lake Eufaula. Bassmaster Live, ESPN2. I see you. I see you. Oh, gosh, did it come off? Yeah! And I broke. All right. Woo! High sticking penalty. Got a high sticking penalty right there, baby. Yeah!
Crazy catch right there from the end of day one.
In all honesty, granted, this is all from Lake Eufaula, but if you go off of the last 10 years that we have covered this guy, the dude catches giants nonstop.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday morning right here with Chris Zaldain.
Yeah!
Gosh. It's almost like you're watching a replay.
Hold on, we got
at a different
standby.
angle.
We got boats coming by. My floor's
Looking at
wet,
these.
carpet's wet. It's good. That's a giant right there. Yeah! Woo-hoo-hoo! That's a big old Eufaula bass right there. Woo!
Growing up in California absolutely has a knack. California to Texas, where there's not real small bass living, dude has a knack for catching big ones.
Where was it that first, when people first started putting GoPros in their boat, way back when he was first getting started, he caught like a 10-pounder.
Clear Lake.
Clear Lake. Oh my God.
On a spinning rod.
Yeah. It's
Probably
probably the most.
He had that 8-pounder at
California
Toledo
Delta.
Bend.
Clelia Delta it was.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He had 30 pounds that day.
You got to fish clean in these tournaments, and I fished clean all week and just pulled up, working my way up to a brush pile, and I seen another brush way out there. Dropped it in it, watched it go down on the live side, watched my bait go into the brush pile, and hooked a really big one and just lost it. I mean, it was straight under the boat. Just wasn't. Oh, he broke. Come on. God, that was a big one. I seen that I seen it on that live site. I didn't even have that one marked. That was a big one there.
You can tell the way Scott Canterbury hits them. When they're a 2-pounder, he can move them quickly. That fish, he never turned. Or you could hear that line sing too when he hit him.
Dang it!
Yeah, he's not ambiguous about his hook sets at all.
Yeah, that was a giant.
Yeah, but I hooked that and good there. Caught a lot of fish out of this week. Seems like when they plant brush, they're planting like a lot in an area.
He lands that fish right there, he would be working on a monster bag today.
Oh, he broke. Come on. God, that was a big one.
The misses are a part of the story. The big catches are a part of the story too. He's had his share of those today.
Execution has been pretty much flawless all day long with Scott Canterbury. That one big miss, but 2 big ones in his live well right now. It's awesome.
That's the kind we're after right there.
In the last 14 months we've been watching him, we have not seen many,
pretty much.
many misses. The execution has been pretty darn spot on. Scott Canterbury, reigning, defending Angler of the Year. He finds himself with a small deficit to Brandon Lester, who moved up to the top of the leaderboard. Jamie Hartman, the leader early. All 3 of those guys we mentioned, boy, they've all got good ones in the boat, 5-pounders plus. Larry Pipkins, Zaldane, we saw him moving up. Drew Benton moving back in. Kyle Monte and Clark Winlet hanging in the 10th. Got a little bit more fishing in our morning session. We'll have it for you when we return.
The DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula is being brought to you live by Minn Kota.
What do a taco and a taco truck have in common? Nothing. If you want to play, you need a Tacoma.
Sign up to compete in the inaugural Hook Bassmaster B.A.S.S. Nation Kayak Series, powered by Tourney X, presented by Abu Garcia in 2020. The trail features 5 regular season events, with a championship to be held in conjunction with the 2021 Academy Sports and Outdoors Bassmaster Classic, presented by Hook. The first tournament will be at Logan Martin Lake in Bell City, Alabama on March 5th, in conjunction with the 50th Bassmaster Classic. To find out more details and to register, visit bassmaster.com/kayak. If you love bass fishing, then show your support by joining B.A.S.S. today. With your membership, you'll receive every issue of Bassmaster magazine, plus $50 in free gear, including a membership tackle bag, B.A.S.S. cap, plus more. Click now on this video to join today. Bassmaster Sweepstakes prizes are crazy good, and you'd be crazy not to enter.
Yeah, baby!
Enter now to win a fishing trip with 50th Bassmaster Classic champion Hank Cherry. Trip includes airfare, rental car, hotel, and $500 cash, plus a Basscat Saber FTD with Mercury 150 Pro XS Garmin electronics, and an amazing prize pack. Total value more than $50,000. There's a 100% chance you won't win if you don't enter. Go to Bassmaster.com and up the odds in your favor. It's fast and easy, and who knows, you could win.
If you want to know how the best anglers always seem to find fish, stay on fish, and be in the right place at the right time, don't ask them. Just look at the name on the side of their boat. The one that's built 10 million motors, shallow water anchors, and more. No angler's gonna tell you their secrets, but they don't have to, because you already know. Minn Kota, fish for more.
The DeWalt Bassmaster Elite at Lake Eufaula is brought to you by Abu Garcia, Berkeley, Nitro Boats, and by Ranger Boats.
Just a few minutes left in the morning session of our Bassmaster Live presentation for today, Day 3 at the DeWalt Elite. Second stop for the regular season for the Bassmaster Elite Series. We'll step back here at 11 Eastern Time for about an hour. Let them fish on. We'll roll tape. We won't miss anything. And step back in at noon to give you the final 3 hours of the day. Should be good. Saw a big miss for Scott Canterbury. Second place Scott Canterbury right before we went to that break, and so I'll take another look at that. Get back out to Scott Canterbury. Boy, he said he leans on him.
Oh, he don't! Come on! God, that was a big one. I seen that live. I seen it on that live site. I didn't even have that one marked.
But you could hear his line sing when he hit that fish too.
Saw him catch one up shallow early, and then it was all offshore, out a little bit.
I mean, hit him, kid.
He indicated to us when we first came to him at this spot that's obviously littered with brush all over. They said they've set out a ton of brush in this little area right here, this
brutal
little flat spot.
To back. Just, I mean, flawless. Hit both of them. The one just pulled out. That fish right there jumped, comes unhooked, and something you just don't see with Scott Canterbury very often, but he is livid.
Good. How's a 3-pounder? 2 3/4? Maybe 3 1/4. I don't know. It's a good one.
That's a gnarly one right there, dude.
Found it.
I don't know what I got. It feels good though. It's not good. I don't even think he'll call. He might call. Call that little 2-pounder anyway. I was gonna boat flip him, then I thought better. Yeah, he'll call that little bitty one. He'll call that 2-pounder, that ugly one. Or that one. Put some more ice in there. Because I forgot to put it on recirculate.
Canterbury, Airy, Hartman.
Oh, mercy.
All grouped up 2 or 3 pounds behind our leader.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've lost some important fish in my life for sure, but I've caught a bunch of them too. You know, that second one got me in the brush, and I must have never got a real good hook in it, but that first one really stings. It was a big fish. You know, there ain't nothing you can do. I mean, you're gonna lose some. You're gonna lose some. It won't be the last one I lose, I hope. I hope it's the last one I lose this week.
Kyle Welcher with
a
good one.
But
right
it won't
there.
be the last one I lose.
For the day we had,
you know,
that's a good start. Now we got one we can actually weigh in.
For good.
It's about to happen. It's happening fast right now.
Joins his pair
That's
of
right.
1.5 pounders in the live well.
There's 2 brush piles here, and I pulled up on, and I was on top of the closest one. The closest one, I didn't think was that good, so I didn't even mark it, and we just caught a 3.5 pounder out of it. So I better mark that sucker.
Good sign.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Oh man, for all of us, absolutely. Back exactly what we wanted to see.
Yes, sir.
Early and often.
This is a great bite, man.
Like you said, Mark Zona, some of the usual suspects are rising to the top of this leaderboard right now.
And here's one of the great things about it. Taking a look at Clark Wendlandt right there, a lot of the big names in bass fishing. So many of them that we're with today said, hey, the best has been the afternoon. It's going to be a big day.
That is atypical for most of our
Absolutely
broadcasts, our live days on the water. It's usually the opposite, but boy, it has been a wonderful, refreshing change of pace here on Lake Eufaula. Thank you, friends, for being with us this morning. We'll step aside and be back at noon Eastern Time.